have a quorum, with 3 of the select people here. And then the other 2 are right now.
We just started.
Order of business tonight, once we get everybody signed in, who's on Zoom, is the public hearing on the June referendum warrant articles. So I move that we open the public hearing. Ms. Zucker? So the first, I'll just read through the articles. Article 2 is, shall the town vote to authorize the Board of Select Persons or their designee to negotiate and the board to enter into multi-year contracts on behalf of the town and to extend contracts found to be in the best interest of the town of Belgrade. So does anyone has any questions about that? This is an article so that obviously the board can enter into multi-year contracts. This is something that would be on the town warrant every year. Because we would need to review this on an annual basis. Any questions? Yes?
So if it gets renewed after X number of years, does it become permanent? Like some
No,
other things?
no, it would have to be a separate perpetuity article.
Well, a perpetuity article started off as being voted on year after year after year.
Right,
until-
right.
I don't remember if it was 3 years or 5.
Yeah, at the, go ahead.
Yeah, so the attorney who were doing it was as a perpetuity article, but the attorneys recommended that we, because you can't tie the next municipal legislative body over bound on 1 year, so we have to carry it forward yearly and just leave it. Not turn it into a perpetuity article.
Right. Any questions on that? Any questions from the listeners? The participants on Zoom? No? No hands raised? Okay. The second article is, shall an ordinance entitled Town of Belgrade Planning Board Ordinance be enacted? And this has been on the website. Would you like to just say a little bit about this, Peter? It's been set some comments for this. Peter was the chair of our planning board for years until he was elected to the select board.
Sure. So. The background on here was. The planning board had been in place. A state law changed. We then looked at some things and said, oh my gosh, are we or are we not? Duly authorized. We reconsidered, sought consultation. And together came up with the idea that a planning board ordinance should be enacted so as to not conflict with state law. So that's the short version. There's more detail and I can't quote all the state law that we talked about, but that's what we came up with. And Sarah, if there's anything that I've glossed over.
You're very brief, that's it.
That was it. So does that help people to understand?
Any questions?
I don't know if anyone wants details on that. They're satisfied with the British plan, that's good.
Yeah, and the full warrant article is available online and also through the town office, if you want to see the full, yes, the full thing. Next article, which will be number 4, is shall the town appropriate $10,000 from the undesignated fund to the cemetery's capital reserve fund? And so I think I see Phil Sprague right up there at the top. Phil, would you just like to give us a little background, very brief background on this, why we need this warrant article? No, we need,
He's muted.
you're muted, we can't hear you.
Phil, if you hit your space bar, will it unmute you?
There.
Yeah. Can you hear me? Nope. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. Go over that again one more time.
Oh, well, we were just, this is the public hearing for the warrant article, appropriating $10,000 from the undesignated fund to the cemetery's capital reserve fund, which is for Plan 5 of the expansion of the cemetery.
Yes,
it's not- Yeah, so I
That's
just
correct.
thought you might want to, if you're going to give any background, or we can just explain that this is not appropriating taking any new taxes. But this is coming from the undesignated fund.
That's correct too. Yeah, it's to work on Plan 5, and we have some more other issues too that we really need that extra money.
Okay, and we have the money. So we're just moving it into the cemetery.
Thank you.
Thank you, Phil.
Yep.
Does anybody else have any other comments? Questions? So the voting for this will be on June 13th, along with the school board budget. And the voting will be at the Center for All Seasons. Yeah. So,
Make motion to close the public hearing.
okay,
Second,
okay, all in favor?
And, pardon me, do we need to do a roll call?
Yes, you're right, Dan,
Yes.
Carol,
yes.
Peter?
Yes.
Elliot?
Yes.
Barbara, yes, okay, 5 in favor of closing the public hearing. Right. Moving on to, I move we open the meeting
Second.
and first order of business is public comment. Is there anybody here who would like to say a few words about something that's not on the agenda? Okay, Linda, first.
So we had hoped that this was going to make it onto the agenda today, but we didn't have anything written up, so that probably didn't help. But over the weekend, I did put something together. We would like to, the Board of Parks and Rec would like to begin fundraising to build pickleball courts down at the center, and this isn't going to. Yeah. It talks about pickleball courts, well, pickleball and the growth of the sport and how much it's increased in popularity in the state of Maine and down at the center recently. And on the backside, there's an area. There's a map. There's actually 2 maps. One that has an outline of the area that we would like to see turned into a pickleball spot. And actually, there would be 3 pickleball courts within one, and the larger one would double as a basketball court and end up being a multi-use space so that the kids could play their various games in a contained area during the after-school program and during summer camp. And during the winter, it would provide a more level spot to have an ice rink. We tried to have an ice rink on the little tiny, like, quarter of a basketball court right near there. But the area is not level, so it didn't really work out very well. Anyway, the pickleball enthusiasts suggested that they'd like to start some fundraising to be able to finance the building of a pickleball court. And Dan has added on to it somewhat in terms of it being a multi-use facility. And on the front of this, you'll notice that the age of pickleball participants is reaching an underrepresented, I can't even say, underrepresented demographic as far as recreation is concerned, physical recreation in our town. So I think it's a great idea. Are you Dee?
Yes.
So this is Dee Cook. She's an avid pickleballer. And an idea for kind of a kickoff fundraiser
Yes.
Are you willing to?
Yeah, sure. So first of all, I want to say that this was Tom's idea first about trying to get pickleball courts going. And at the same time, I ended up having an event that I can offer as a charitable thing this summer. I made a film years ago. The majority was shot in Belgrade. Part of it was shot in Nebraska during the total eclipse of the sun. And because the total eclipse of the sun is coming through Maine in April 24, I was able to talk to my distributor. The film has never been shown in its completed form here, only as a work in progress, and I've had many people ask to see it. So between talking about that, we can offer that event. Talking about the total eclipse coming primarily and also showing the film where there's a nonstop scene of the entire eclipse will start to begin, so it's amazing. Wind comes up, the lights go out. I mean, it's just spooky. So, the distributor has given me, the okay to show it once, this summer. So we're looking at a date of, the last Saturday in July, but we understand that it needs to be voted on. That's what we're hearing by the town. The pickleballers are willing to go ahead and trust that we can get that vote in November. As long as we could have the funds in a separate account, like the music people have a separate account for the events at the gazebo. So if there was a separate account, we would put this in there in the event that there is no pickleball voted by the town, we would allow that to be used for other improvements at the center.
Okay.
So I have a follow-up question on that. When we did the fundraising, we built the VJ Howard Memorial Playground down at the center, we did not have to have a public vote to build that. So where is the line? Who do we need to get approval from? Do we need to come back 2 weeks from now?
I think so, because in public comment, you bring the issue to our attention, and I know that Lorna has also included information about the pickleball fundraiser in her town manager's report. So this part of the meeting is not a place where we can take any action,
Yeah,
but we appreciate the information and the enthusiasm, and can certainly take it up at the next meeting. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
And Dean, is this
This is different.
Oh,
Hello?
yes, Phil?
Yeah, I just want to remind the select board that we are having a terrible time with grubs on the cemetery.
Okay,
And it has to be done with a certified person, so it could cost us some money for that.
okay.
okay. So we'll look into that with Corey.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Phil.
Yep.
Seeing as how I was the cause of this evidently.
I forgot, but what we should ask you to do, and I forgot to do this with Linda because I know her, and with Dee, but, and now I know you too, but if you could just state your name, so for the record, since we do have people who are online and might not be able to see.
Certainly, Tom Burnell, Burnell. My reason for being here is that I have been a pickleball enthusiast for a number of years now. I started back in my hometown in Situate, Massachusetts. We started with 4 people playing in a gym at a elementary school. And when we finished, we were playing at the junior high school gym with 8 or 9 games going on at the same time. That was 8 or 9 times 4, because there were 4 people. So it was absolutely, it became a hot thing to do, especially for older people. To put it that way, but it's the truth. The people here are very enthusiastic. They love it. And I go back to the age issue. It's something that you can do in the winter in the Center for All Seasons. But you're limited to one court. If you can get more people interested, you may be able to increase the use of the one court for other hours or more hours and so forth. And the issue of who plays, everybody plays, but it is particularly useful for older people who are somewhat housebound in the winter. It gets them a chance to get out, socialize, which is a great thing for the people. And the exercise they get and the camaraderie is unbelievable. I was a high school coach for years. I wish I could have felt the same camaraderie that with my kids, that these, I hate to say it, the women are exhibiting, but they have been fantastic. And I can do nothing but say, this would be a great thing for the people of Belgrade, and it may also be used for people from the surrounding towns. So I think there are some people that I don't ask them where they're from, but they are from some of the surrounding towns.
And that's okay.
This young lady would know more about that, because at my age, they're all females.
Okay.
That's it for me.
Okay, thank you, Tom. Thank you. We will definitely look over the material, review the material that we have from Lorna and from Linda. I think it's probably a lot of the same material.
Yeah.
And take it up at the next meeting.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
I just ask one follow-up question. Do we have a cost estimate?
So what Dan put together was $135,000. I'm afraid that with inflation, by the time we get enough money to build the court, it'll probably be up to 150. So that's what I referenced both of those numbers in here.
Does that include lighting?
I have
If you
no
ever
idea.
think you're gonna use it for an ice rink, you're gonna want lighting. So,
I have no idea. Good point, though. We can talk about details next when Dan's back.
Okay, thank you. Nice to know we have a good pickleball, enthusiastic pickleball group here in town.
Yeah, very passionate, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Nice to see you.
All right, Sarah, you had something for public comment?
So my name is Sarah Langet, the record, and I just have a brief comment related to the RSP for the Public Works. Just in the training that we have Friday with the MMA, I happen to be in the real training in the afternoon. And, you know, I start talking to other people, one not, and other people have the same problem with getting contractors for the winter to do plowing. And the treasurer of Wales all of a sudden said, you know what? We got a contractor that was looking to do plowing in Wayne. Why don't you call him? He probably might be interested. So I happened to call him. He was interested, but I have to guide him through the process of finding the RSP. So I don't know if we can move that to the front page of the homepage in the Belgrade Lakes website. I mean, the Belgrade Town website. And then thinking about that, I said, well, maybe if people get the word that they can bid, then you'll have a hard time navigating where to find the bid package. So I wonder if it might be a good idea, and I will take on to doing that, because I would be adding work to take all the contractors that we have already called and say no. And one by one, we can email them the the location of the bid to see if the, interest research. But, so it's another way of communicating, I guess, at least with the people that we already contacted and they declined initially. But, go ahead.
I was gonna say, that would be within the Public Works Ad Hoc Committee, because it's the
Sure.
group that's working with the
But
contractors.
we don't meeting for the next month or so. So, and they are advisory. So, anyways, so I just thought I'd, go ahead.
Why don't we just email all these people the bid packet instead of thinking of how to get to it, just email it to them.
Yeah,
Right.
do we have the information,
Oh, yeah.
I don't know that I
the
have.
contact,
email
do you have a
addresses
contact
for
information for all the
everybody.
contractors?
Not for all the contractors, but I think there's a list that we had that we contact somehow.
Yes, the subcommittee
Okay.
saw people in person, spoke with them. I don't have contact information for all of them.
We should be able to get that from them. though.
But at the very least, the new one that hasn't said no yet, it's,
I took care of it.
Yeah.
I sent the link to her. I
yeah,
feel
I'm not even talking about the link, just send them the packet. Email them the bid packet, that way they don't have to navigate through the computer.
But I attach also a copy of it. I downloaded
there you
it,
go.
I attach a copy of it.
Yeah.
So, I just wonder if other people who have the same trouble trying to figure out what their RSP is. Although I will figure that somehow they will call the town office for it. But, it'd be nice, I mean, I'm not sure how far the communication is going to get with contractors.
Yeah.
The ones that we already contacted and they speak to the client, because the RSP is different this time. We can have at least two contractors and,
Right.
so it might be,
Equipment's
it
a
might
little
change
less.
the game, yeah. And then, yeah, the requirements are somewhat less.
Yeah.
Good point, good point.
But yeah, making it more visible and reiterating, sending it in to folks so that it shouldn't be a hard process for them to find it.
So I do try to call Tom then, and that,
Yes, I would.
No, that should come from the town of Belgrade, not from the committee. That should come from the town. The package.
I'll be happy to help.
Okay.
And I don't, won't go away too, so.
Okay, thank you, Sarah, thanks for bringing it to our attention.
I will do that,
Get to get together.
but I don't want more work for her, I know that.
That's okay, she can handle, she can handle it.
That's easy.
All right, anything else for public comment? Seeing none,
Okay.
I move that we open discussion of review and approve minutes of April 18th and April 27th.
Second.
So make a motion on open April 19th. April 18th, I think we should.
April 18th, okay. Second, that we open April 18th,
I seconded, yeah.
but I did it for both, so now we're doing just.
Oh, just the 18th, I second, okay.
All right, is there anyone have any comments, questions? No?
Just wanted to follow up, the plumbing inspector coverage, we'd asked for something to be drawn up between the code enforcement officer in Belgrade and the town of Rome. Have we done that yet?
I'm waiting for Hans and I to be able to get together to work on that. And I'm hoping to have something ready for your next meeting, May 16th.
Excuse me, thank you for your time and consideration.
Okay.
Thank you, Tom. Nice to meet you.
Tom, it's very nice to meet you, Tom.
Excuse me,
Very nice to meet you.
you haven't met me yet.
Trouble. Game on with us?
Careful, you're speaking to your elders, so.
So funny,
We'll
we
see.
started as a pickleball.
I know,
And the other thing, the Public Works Ad Hoc Committee, I believe we did not leave it open-ended until the contract was secured. Didn't we put an end date for the RFPs to come back?
So,
Yes, we did, because of the need to move ahead.
June 31st or June, no, it was the middle of June, right?
but
It was June 16th.
something like that,
Right, didn't we do that based on,
a select board meeting.
right,
Yeah,
Yes,
because we talked about the calendar of
so the
events.
16th is the last Friday before our meeting on the 20th.
Right.
I think
so-
where you're seeing that is on my town manager's report.
Yes.
Oh, right.
Okay.
So this is old news.
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay.
That should still be updated though, correct?
Well, this is how she presented it at the time.
Right.
Okay. It was probably not part of our minutes like that. I didn't want for there to be any confusion.
Take note of the minutes.
Yeah, there's a, on page 2, it says winter maintenance RFP. Carol voted to approve the RFP motioned and seconded as amended.
Right, just make a little note after that sentence, that says be back for the 16th. So it's.
Right. And the only other thing I want to check on, and it's just, it's kind of outside the volunteer flower group. I just wanted to be sure, has somebody reached out to Judy Hollowell? Because she was doing that. So,
Yes. Yes.
okay. So cool, is she part of that?
No.
No, okay, I just wanted to make sure I didn't want us to go on that. Yeah.
Jill did reach, I contacted Jill and asked her to reach out to her because she had been doing that, so she did.
Okay, perfect. That's all I have.
Mhm. No? Oh,
No,
that's a
I'm
yes.
all set. No, I'm all set.
Okay, I move we accept the minutes of the April 18th meeting as amended.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Peter?
Yes.
Melanie?
Yes.
Yes, 7 yeses. Okay. I move we begin, that we open discussion on the minutes from April 27th.
I'll second that.
Any comments on April 27th?
I see no changes.
Okay. Did you move your?
I move with.
Okay,
Second,
all right, all in favor, Peter?
yes.
Melanie?
Yes.
Cheryl?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes.
Carter? Yes. Okay. Those motions, those minutes are approved. All right, and now we have presentation and discussion from Perkins Leasing.
Greg is on Zoom.
Okay. And Greg? Oh, there's Greg. Okay, I put the clock.
I'm here.
Okay, great. Thank you.
You're welcome. So I was asked recently just to inspect the 2 properties on Dalton Lane with Corey, which we did yesterday morning. 8 Dalton Lane ranch home. It's got, it's been in the process of rehab. Overall, it looks very good. There's some minor things left to do. We did run into a problem yesterday morning with the heavy rain that we ran into a flooded basement. But Corey was quick to call and get a sump pump sent over, and he got it pumped out. There is a in the basement of that building. Other than that, it's really just minor maintenance that needs to be done. The sheetrock in the basement, that because of that water problem, I'd recommend it be cut up higher, so it's not getting wet. We noticed the emergency switch for the boiler wasn't working. And that's gotta be repaired. Living room has no active lights other than anything that might be tied into outlets, so it'd be nice to see lights in the living room. Outside, a little bit of cleaning up of landscaping, a little painting of the trim, but overall, that building was in decent shape, other than really the water problem. At 10 Dalton Lane, the garage facility with the apartment upstairs. Biggest thing we saw there is our current tenant is kind of a hoarder. And he has a lot of things upstairs. He's not doing damage to the building. Condition. But structurally, our concern, Corey and I's concern was the weight of things in that building on the second floor was a concern. It's also a concern just that it's kind of cluttered in there. It's neat, but it's cluttered. So from a life safety perspective, we were concerned about ingress and egress for the residents in the building. So we think he needs to clean the building out.
We're gonna have to check it out, find out what we have to do to enforce something like that.
Yeah. And I guess, what we wanted to talk to you about was contract going forward.
Yep.
Because, I think the contracts are perhaps overdue.
Very outdated.
What we wanted to be sure of, Greg, is, sorry. can I
No, go
speak?
ahead.
What we wanted to be sure of is, I mean, this, the last time we drew up a lease agreement was 2019.
Yep.
And it's changed verbally several times and then. So what I wanted to be certain of is if we're looking at renting 8 Dalton again, that 8 Dalton and 10 Dalton have similar leases where they know what they have access to on the property. And, you know, we've given garage access and we've taken garage access away and we've allowed some storage of stuff on the property and we've taken some stuff away. So what we'd like to do is have a cleaned up lease agreement that clearly states, you know, what what both sides agree to. But have it be a little more clean than what we have now, because I don't know that it entirely reflects even what the agreements are currently, does it?
Well, the last lease that the tenant in 10 Dalton signed, he's holding over as a tenant at will. I think it does clearly define the terms of his occupancy. But he's just a tenant at will at this point in time. In a sense, that's probably a good thing because the way he's kind of hoarding in there, it gives us a chance. If he doesn't comply when we ask him to clean it up, then it gives us a chance to terminate with the 30. But I mean, I'm happy to send a draft that we can work on together to make sure it meets the needs of the town.
And the tenants say, look. You know, I hate to say you can rent this property that's right near the water, but you don't have water access. You know, because that was part, I mean, that's definitely a perk of having those properties. So do you have kind of all the changes that have taken place over the last handful of years so that you can pull those together and kind of a cleaned up working document that we can tweak with you?
Yeah, I'm sure I can. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, the other question I had was, in the contract as we have it, it states that the manager, which is you, will be responsible for, make expenditures for upkeep and protection of the premises out of the rent account. And it's my understanding that we've been doing the maintenance. Our facilities people have been doing much of the maintenance on the property. So that's just something that I'd like to have straightened out is who does the maintenance?
Well, I mean, typically maintenance is done in the normal course of business with a property that's not publicly owned. Then it's a subcontractor that I would hire on behalf of the owner's benefit to do the work. Where this is a town property, it's common that the town's maintenance people would do the maintenance on the property.
Right, but then we'd like that reflected in the contract, right?
I mean, it can be reflected in the management contract, but I don't think there's a conflict of interest or a problem that it's, if the tenant, the tenant calls me and there's a problem, the first person I'm gonna call is Corey. Or whoever the maintenance director is for the town at the time.
Uh-huh. But there are just a couple of clauses where it says that we grant to you the right to collect rent, maintain and operate the premises and improvements. So we just need to make it clear that if we're providing the maintenance, that we're providing the maintenance. Or we could strike those clauses out or clarify them somehow.
Well, we can certainly clarify that.
Okay,
Yeah, that's not a problem. But there is a limit on my authority to make maintenance calls. I think it's $350. That I can't do anything with, and make any improvements or authorize any improvements that exceed that amount.
but if you get a maintenance call from a tenant, then you would call Corey.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay. But just so that's clarified.
I think that
in the
needs to be
contract.
clarified, yeah. Greg, one of the concerns I have, my background is insurance, so there's a reason for you feeling this way. But trampolines, I have a concern that someone decides they want to have, a tenant wants a trampoline. And I personally, I mean, do you have an exclusion for that, or is it possible to put an exclusion in if we decide that's what we want?
Absolutely. That would be a condition you would put into a lease agreement with your tenant. But absolutely, that could easily be addressed.
And the same thing with waterfront, whether we give them dock access or not, that can be written in once we decide amongst ourselves.
Current lease agreements do not give the tenants right to use the water. So like Mike Weymouth's lease does not contain a right to access the water. But he's a tenant on that premises. So he's gonna know about that access to the water and take advantage of it. But we can restrict that. That's a function of a lease agreement.
I guess my concern is if they use the beach, that's one thing, but do we let them put a dock in on our property? And I mean, I think we need to decide among ourselves, but I think that's a question we want to look at from a liability perspective.
Yeah, I believe that was something that happened with a prior maintenance man for the town. Where there was an old dock that was right, and the prior maintenance man told him it was okay to put it in. That's my understanding.
Yeah, yeah. Well, my concern is if you have a tenant that, you know, he has a trampoline and kids are jumping on it and he doesn't have his own personal insurance, when that kid hurts themselves, the town comes in for liability because they're gonna sue the landlord. They're gonna sue the tenant. If the tenant doesn't have coverage, we get called into it. So that's why I just think we need to tighten up some of those areas. So we're real clear on what we want them to do and not do.
Well, I think those are things that are easily addressable.
Okay.
So then the next step would be that you would send us a draft contract.
I will
Or
send a revised management agreement. I will also send a draft lease that people can look at and we can amend and make it relevant to what the town's concerns are.
Okay, so it'd be one management contract and then two leases, one for 8 Dalton and one for 10 Dalton.
Correct, but I mean, obviously we would use the same lease for each building, changing the address,
Yeah.
but it would have the same.
And the cost.
things.
And it does look like on the lease agreement, like one's provided. So I think it would have to be two different leases because one is reflective of a house and the other one is reflective of an apartment.
That is correct.
So
One
we would
one
have
would be,
some leases just tweaked a little bit. Yeah, that's why I wanted you to come in. I was like, we gotta look at it, and looked at this for years. So,
And what do you feel about the rents that we are currently charging? I mean, we've been paying, we haven't changed it since 2019.
no, it's been changed a
Correct.
couple times. That's one of
It
the.
has been changed, but rents right now are certainly escalating. The ranch home, in my mind, it's worth somewhere 16 to 1800 a month right now. And the apartment above the garage, a 2-bedroom apartment today is worth $1,100-1,200 a month.
Okay, this gives us something to look at for.
And Greg, I know one of the issues that we've had with the leasing and how we've tweaked it a little bit has been whether or not heat was included. Because we had some issues previously where heat wasn't included.
Yeah.
And then we had frozen pipes repeatedly, so then we were including the heat. So I think that's the other piece that we just want to clean up, like what are we saying is your heat amount? You know, and what sort of control do we have over that? You know, do we put a thermostat in that's got a control thing over it that the town controls and it's held at 70 degrees, or, you know, and if so, the town provides X number for your, you know, your rental money that you're paying us.
Yeah,
So
I mean, I think for the protection of the property, you're best that the town pays the heat, but we have to build that cost into that rent. So, I mean, the cost would be above and beyond that $1,800, obviously. So, because that $1,800 number is based on a tenant paying all utilities. But I do think to protect the property, it's best that the town pays the heat.
I agree.
Pay them.
We saw what happened if we don't.
That's correct.
Okay.
Is there anything else you can think of that we've tweaked over the years that we want to be sure that we go back and change or update?
No, I mean, the big thing to me is addressing the water problem in the basement on the ranch. That's the big issue. I mean, when Corey and I walked in yesterday, you know, that burner was almost underwater for the boiler, so that's got to be addressed. Humidity and wet basements are just not good for the condition of any piece of real estate.
Any other questions? Comments?
Okay.
Okay, so Greg, you'll send a draft of the lease and contract to Lorna's attention,
I sure will.
and then we will go from there.
Yeah,
I'll send a new management draft and a lease agreement, so we can discuss specific terms in the lease that are important to the town.
Okay, so the specific terms that we brought up tonight were about trampoline, whether heat's provided,
right. Utilities,
use of the water,
use of
utilities,
water, or
use of-
docks,
use of waterfront or docks,
yeah.
pets.
Currently, we're not allowing pets, am I correct?
That's correct.
Okay, and let's not change that.
No, it's just, we need to make sure it's specified
Right, no
that we
pets.
do not allow them. Or we don't allow them without special permission or whatever.
Right, and, oh, Corey, go ahead.
What are we considered pets? Because there's pets in this apartment on Dalton 10 now. There's cats up there, at least one that I saw.
And I just said, I think we should allow people to at least have a cat, you know, a comfort animal, you know, like, hey, you pay all this money for this property, but no cat for you.
No, see, if
Well-
I owned a rental property, I wouldn't allow any cats or dogs. Cat goes to the bathroom on a carpet, and you're gonna be replacing carpet.
That's what.
You definitely can know he has cats when we walk through the door.
Yeah. And the problem with dogs is, I mean, the problem with possible damage to the property, but also dogs could be an attractive nuisance or a threat to children at the rec center. So, you know, I would definitely say no dogs, but we don't have to decide that. now.
That's
We can-
not tonight's decision.
Yeah,
Right.
we're not deciding, we're just bringing up issues. And then the question of just clarifying the management or the maintenance.
Yeah.
That the town
The town will do the maintenance.
will do the maintenance.
Yeah. Okay.
Anything else? No.
The only other thing I saw on there is it says you can't have a boat on the property or a trailer or a motorcycle or a snowmobile. I don't know how you can tell people they can't have any of those things.
On the property.
You know, some people use motorcycles as transportation.
Well, I think,
This is next to a lake. If you wanted a fishing boat, even if you couldn't launch it there,
Right.
you would think you'd be able to store your boat on a trailer in your yard.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's some of the things you're gonna have to look at.
yeah, we may want to say, you could have these with approval of the boards. That way we don't have someone who has 15 things sitting out front. We could put, but when we get the thing back, we can look at it, so we don't have to do it tonight.
Right.
Yeah, good point,
Good
Dan.
point, very good point.
Okay,
Okay. Thank you, Greg, for your time. I appreciate it.
My pleasure. Have a good evening.
You
Okay,
too.
we'll look
Thank
forward-
you.
We'll look forward to hearing from you.
Thank you.
bye-bye.
Okay. Next item up is unfinished business. And I move that we open the discussion on policy updates. Okay. Okay. Find my orange tab. So Lorna has prepared for us 3 different policy updates. With the original and the changes are minimal. So do we want to take these up one by one?
Mhm. I think they're pretty straightforward.
Yep, so the first one is job descriptions and performance evaluations. And the only changes that I saw on this were to take out the reference to the specific evaluations in the beginning of the 3rd paragraph. Evaluations will be recorded on Belgrade Form 01.
Oh, and the anniversary date
Oh, and the anniversary date. Oh,
in the
you're right.
second paragraph.
You're right.
When you get these from now on, can we get either something with changes underlined or highlighted, so. we're not trying to- With this.
Yes.
You,
So Lorna, do you wanna, I preempted you, do you wanna talk about these?
This you've seen before, and you didn't make a decision previously because we wanted to check with MMA on adding all fire department personnel under the annual review requirement. I did speak with one of the attorneys with MMA Legal. It was their recommendation that all personnel of the fire department, no matter how often they work or not, would fall under that. And that's, to me, a huge, that's a huge undertaking for our fire chief, for sure. In fact, I spoke with Dan today about it. And so I did ask him, I said, Dan, if there's an issue or you need to address something, you do that already throughout the year and you document that. And he said, yes. So in effect, instead of an annual review, 1 review a year, he monitors his people continuously throughout the year. So I think that if the board chose to, it would be okay to not put that requirement for every single person. It would just be the 2 full-time personnel for fire for that annual review. That's the only.
For me, that makes sense because the part-time firefighters reviews aren't tied to pay increases.
right,
So, I mean, if they're gonna give a pay increase to all the volunteers, it's usually the same thing across the board.
across the board.
And if there's a problem with somebody, Dan deals with that separately.
It would be unrealistic to do all of those in the month of March or April.
Right.
So,
Look at that.
so
So does that mean we need to revise that second paragraph? Supervisors, which include the fire chief, will prepare and submit annual performance
Well, he still has
evaluations.
full-time employees down there, so he'd still have to do those.
So,
So do we say volunteer firefighters will not be evaluated, or just leave it
we
as
need to
is?
clarify that, sounds like.
I would leave it as is. This is how it was originally presented, and we wondered if we needed to add in that the volunteers would also be included.
So volunteers are not considered an employee, is what we're saying.
Well, they are, but they aren't.
Right,
Does that make sense?
If you wanted to add anything in, I just put in parentheses excluding part-time on-call. Firefighter,
That would be good.
because that
Yeah.
way it's something saying you don't have to do it, but it's.
Right, right.
That makes sense.
Yeah,
So technically, we're all volunteers, because you're getting paid for
Right.
part-time on-call.
But when you guys didn't go, there was a big.
That was long before my time.
that was that way in a lot of towns, so.
Hmm.
Yeah,
It still is sometimes.
Yes,
It's-
it is,
It's still
Yeah.
that way.
yeah.
and what way?
They're gonna be paid,
Oh, they don't get paid.
it's all volunteer,
Mm-hmm.
which can get expensive nowadays, that's fuel.
Okay, so, I move that we approve this policy update. For job descriptions and performance evaluations as amended.
Second thought.
Any further discussion? All in favor, Peter?
Yes.
Melanie?
Yes.
Yes,
Dan?
Yes.
Barbara, yes, okay. 5 in favor. So next one, Lorna,
This one simply gives a better explanation of holidays and how those are paid out. If you look at the current language, it's not clear. Also, our handbook still has Columbus Day, and that should be Indigenous Peoples' Day. I believe the state has changed the name. And I know, Mary, you mentioned something about Juneteenth.
So, we can't just keep adding.
Yeah, she had mentioned it to
Yeah,
me.
I know the
that it was
state's added
missing.
that, but we just,
Yeah, she's not.
we just can't, every time they add. a
Oh, there
holiday,
she
we
is.
can't have it.
Yeah, Juneteenth is a federal holiday now. So
Right.
be added into the list. If we're gonna list them all out, then we should be inclusive.
So which one do we want to lose? We want to add that one in.
Well, they all
Some
federal
towns
holidays.
don't recognize.
Right, and that's my whole point, is that every time the state passes another holiday, we can't add it in. There's a lot of businesses that, I know a lot of them that don't recognize Martin Luther King Day.
President's
I
Day.
know one of them that will either do what was Columbus Day or Veterans Day, one or the other, you can pick and choose. I can pick the one during the month of hunting, so, I mean.
So we're not obligated in any way to try to mirror federally recognized holidays.
We don't have to pay any holidays. Just because it's a federal holiday. You even have to pay it.
So when is Juneteenth? Probably in June.
I think it's
19th.
19th.
Yeah.
June 19th.
It was right around there. Something.
But is it, I don't know if it's a Monday holiday, or if it's on the actual day, like July 4th.
Yeah, that I don't know.
We could say, we're entitled to the following paid holidays or 13 paid holidays, and you may take we list the ones that are optional. You can either have Patriot, I mean. So there are 6 of them, you can take 5 of them. If we want to add Juneteenth in, if you don't want to add it across the board.
Then you'd have to staff the office.
If everybody decides to take the day off.
If
Yeah,
everyone takes the day off, then, I mean, I think it either has to be on or off. I think it'd be, with such a small staff. It'd be hard to say, you can have a day off.
yeah,
Could be
If you
first-
want.
Could be first come, first served.
well, that could be.
And
Lorna, how do you think you should manage that? Spotlight.
My experience with other towns, people, if you look at other towns, some towns choose to include it, some towns choose not to. So I think it would be better and easier if the board said, yes, we will include that as a holiday for everyone, or no, we're not going to include it as a holiday for everyone.
Rather than having it optional.
Correct.
Yeah.
I guess I'm more concerned of the optics of why
Right.
the board is saying, well, we're not doing Juneteenth. But we're
Right,
doing the,
President's Day and Patriots Day.
right, I mean. There's for me, there's an optics piece of why are we choosing not to do
We
Juneteenth?
can pick a different one,
Yeah,
place it with it if you wanna have that day, I have no problem, it's just. I just don't wanna add any more holidays.
The other one, the problem is the other ones have been quite long-standing. I mean, even Martin Luther King Day has been.
I mean, Patriots Day, I don't think is as big, do you? Up here,
Patriots Day is like a New England.
it's what?
Patriots Day is more of a New England holiday.
Right.
It's made in Massachusetts. It's made in Massachusetts because we used to be part of.
Right, no, I understand that, but I'm saying maybe that's the
Everybody
one that
has
we
their
trade
one
out.
extra day to get their taxes
And it's
done.
school vacation.
Only in Massachusetts,
Oh,
Yeah.
Yes,
everybody else doesn't.
right, we did that.
No, I was
Yeah,
just thinking if we're looking to trade a holiday, that might be a more tradable one. I don't know. Do we want to think about it and come back next week,
We can-
next meeting?
Well, I feel like I've got Easter stuck in my head, and I know it's not on this, but I know that we had some issues with that. You know. Folks who worked on Easter are required to work on Easter, but thought should be a holiday pay, but because it's not part of our list, it's not a recognized holiday.
Nice anyway. It's always on Sunday,
Right.
never during a work week. Unless people actually have to work on that day.
Which some do.
But what about other religious holidays for other religions?
Right.
Exactly.
You know, it would be an endless
Well,
list.
we do
so-
Christmas.
Right.
And that's a pagan holiday.
We do Christmas, but it's not called Christmas. Everybody else calls it other things now. You know, so we'll say Merry Christmas anymore, remember?
I'm saying Merry
You
Christmas, you say happy
You could say
holidays.
happy holidays, that includes everything.
You could approve this as is and at your next meeting, determine if you want to add Juneteenth as a floater holiday. Or you could add a personal day. It could be taken on Juneteenth, or it could be taken on your birthday. Your anniversary, a personal day. Like a floater day, your choice.
I mean, I think we either need to make a decision or postpone it. And, I mean, I'm fine adopting it this way, and then it's just. I'm concerned over the optics of having one day that we are not recognizing. And I don't know, maybe we need to think about, I think there's some optics there that could be misconstrued. Why do we not want Juneteenth? Are we being biased? Is the board reflecting I'm sure there's some people who think we should have Juneteenth. Why did we pick that and not the other one? I think there's a sensitivity issue there we need to be aware of. And maybe we think about it and do it as old business next time, but That's my concern.
And
is
that's
the
fine too,
optics.
but the thing, same thing is that I'll look at it the same way, and the argument I made at the state when I voted not to make it a state holiday. They're even add Cinco de Mayo. Are you gonna Chinese New Year? Those are all specifically for certain groups,
Right,
you know, so you could add enough holidays that we're gonna be filling up the calendar.
But they're not national holidays.
But
This
they're
is
not
now,
federal
this is now a
holidays.
federal holiday.
Well, and I think the abolition of slavery probably takes precedence over Cinco de Mayo.
But I'm just saying this, you know, there's only so many holidays you can do.
So,
I mean, if we're saying they're not national holidays, then other than Patriots Day, the rest of them are all national holidays, right?
Not the day after Thanksgiving. That's-
No, but
That's not considered a federal
No.
holiday, just Thanksgiving Day,
yeah, it's
Right,
just the
it's
reality of
traditional.
getting anyone to work.
yeah.
So you,
So,
you could do Patriots Day or Juneteenth.
18th.
And so
And-
whoever
and
wants
that's
a day
fine.
off in
That's
April,
fine with
take
me,
it.
and it's gonna be first come, first served for signing up. So,
Yeah, I mean, that's fine with me. I just think we need to be very aware of the optics.
Yeah,
So that's a good compromise.
so I was just thinking, you know, I have to work every holiday in my job, except for Christmas. And New Year's Day. The rest of them, I'm on, all of them. So, but how they do it with other departments that are outside of sales is they're given so many holidays and they can pick which ones they're going to work. So say the mechanics will pick, I'm gonna work every Memorial Day because I want Veterans Day off. So then that's how they work their calendars, that there has to be enough staff and they can choose which holidays they're observing.
Right, yeah, we could say, here are the 6 you get, and you can pick 5 from this column.
Right, so maybe we offer that as an option. I just would hate the logistics of it for scheduling purposes to become a nightmare.
right, because we have a small staff.
Because we have a small staff.
Yeah.
In every department, we have a small staff.
But it seems to me like we should rework this and bring it back next
Yeah,
meeting.
I think we
Because
need
we're
to
not
think
gonna-
about it. I think we need to think about it because
Make sure we get it.
I agree with you, Carol, that the optics are
Optics are not good.
important.
And I like Lauren's idea of possibly a further holiday, that everybody gets to pick one, you pick your own holiday.
Maybe you want Cinco de Mayo, maybe you want Easter, maybe you want, right, whatever. You get one floater holiday and you can choose
Just.
where
Right,
you
but then
take
we
it.
would have to get rid of one of these to make a floater,
I would
to
say
make
Patriots
Juneteenth.
Day,
So,
and then make a floater.
Remove Patriots and give a floater holiday.
we could take Patriots away and give a floater holiday.
And then people can use it wherever they want. If Juneteenth is important, they could take that day. If it's
Right.
Cinco de Mayo, they could take that day. If they-
I'm
Easter,
just
they could
looking
take that
at,
day.
if the rest of them are all federal, then that might be the way to do it and keep it consistent, because Patriots Day is not a federal holiday, it's a state by state holiday.
Correct. Mail's
Two
still
days.
going.
And say, so we take
Banks are
Patriots
open.
off and we give them one floater holiday. So we
That's a
keep
good
the same number of
compromise.
days.
But then we still
But
have
then-
the question of Juneteenth.
Then we add Juneteenth.
No, we're just letting them, that's a. considered
Oh, I
floater
see,
holiday.
because Juneteenth is a federal, so we need to.
Right,
Right, but if we're saying that we're gonna observe the federal holidays, Juneteenth is a federal.
Juneteenth would be in there and Patriots Day
Not,
would be out.
Day after Thanksgiving is not a federal holiday.
right, so
True, but-
someone could use that as their photo holiday. So we could have a second column
Yeah,
and you can pick day after Thanksgiving, you can pick a date out of the year that works for you and choose. If that's something you want, you want something you get.
So why don't we-
okay.
why don't we?
So let's, so I don't think we need, I think
Look at
it's tables for
That we table this item to
our next meeting. And
I second that motion.
all in favor of tabling, Peter,
Yes.
Melanie,
Yes.
Carol?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, 5-0 in favor of
Get the
tabling.
crap one closed.
Who's second?
Excuse me one second.
Who's second?
Did I second?
There was a.
Melanie motion.
I said-
I don't know if it was you or her.
Carol second.
Carol second.
Okay. Okay,
It's like, it's like the insurance agency has 7 holidays. There's a lot of places that don't do 12. Once you get up above 12.
but it's also gives us a chance to check with neighboring towns.
Oh, yeah. And that's,
So we know, in terms of staff
I
retention.
just don't want to, I don't care if they come up with another new holiday this year that seems like the best in the world. I don't want to keep increasing the number of holidays.
Yeah, so I think Lorna can come up with a couple of options
Sure.
that would work in terms of,
We'll discuss it more in detail in next.
yes. All right, so the last of the proposed policy changes. Employee status and definitions.
So the old or the current language in our handbook gives full-time, permanent, part-time. And that's it. So this expands it to more of what we employ. The full-time, permanent, part-time on call, temporary, a department head, a salaried employee, exempt, non-exempt, and essential. And I pulled this from another municipality. So that I didn't reinvent the wheel.
First thing I would say under full-time, why don't we get rid of page 2 benefits under full-time, and this would just say and receives all benefits and rights. Because as this document is tweaked, it may not always be page 2.
That's the current.
Oh, that is.
Never mind, I think it's already been changed.
The new language says the employee shall have completed a probationary period and shall receive all benefits provided herein.
Right.
So,
I noticed that there are a couple of times where it's like under full-time employee where the position shall be on a continuing or indefinite basis. And then under permanent part-time, it says continuing basis, paren, indefinite. So it just seems like if those are the same thing, that we need to treat them the same way in each clause.
I see what you're saying.
Do you see what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Under full-time, the first sentence is under full-time employee says a full-time position shall be on a continuing or indefinite basis. And then under permanent part-time, it says at least 20 hours or more on a continuing basis, paren, indefinite. Is that the same thing as continuing or indefinite?
permanent part-time is, even though they're part-time, it's a different class than a part-time employee.
It's just.
I know,
using
but
the same
I'm
definition.
questioning the use of continuing or indefinite in the first one, and then in the second one, continuing basis, parenthesis, indefinite. That, to me, that says that they're like two different things, because one's in parenthesis and, do you see what I'm saying? It's just presenting them in a different way.
We can word them the
Are they
same.
And then in
the same?
part-time, you go continuing or indefinite, so maybe that's what you need to use.
Right. Because a part-time position may be on a continuing or indefinite. Are those the same thing, continuing or indefinite?
Sorry, are we trying to clean up C? And are we making part-time employee? Would it be maybe on a continuing or intermittent basis? Because for some of those, it looks like if somebody were to come in and say, every year they're gonna assist the maintenance facility for cleaning up the cemeteries. So every year we know this position is gonna come up, that's gonna be 4 weeks on of 20 hours a week. Would that be considered,
Temporary. It's,
right, that would be this part-time employee, so
so there's another category down there of temporary.
okay, so how is that? I guess I don't,
Appointed for a time,
Temporary could come in for a day or 2 days.
a week.
Yeah,
A finite period of time.
Yeah, I'm just questioning the difference between calling the permanent part-time employee continuing basis, parenthesis indefinite, and I don't want to make a big deal out of it, it's just a language. It's
So-
just language.
so in that, we could change that to continuing or indefinite basis.
As it is with the other two.
Correct.
Yeah, that was
Above
just
and-
my question, I'm not,
Above and below.
right, I'm not
Yep.
questioning the meaning of it, I'm just saying, let's have them all be the same, so
Agreed.
it doesn't raise a question.
Department heads, town clerk. So I guess the question I have when it gets down to department head, we have the animal control officer as a department head. We do not have the health officer listed. Are they? Should they both be listed or not consider the animal control officer a department head?
I don't think animal control would be considered a department head. I would think they would be considered an on-call employee. They're called in from a definite schedule for things that happen and come up.
Yeah,
That's true.
so we would take
So
out,
remove animal control.
remove animal control officer.
They have said.
Would
So,
seem to me-
so just so we're clear, so the on-call employee will be paid an hourly wage and is not entitled to benefits provided herein. So that applies to the ACO.
He does get
gets-
hourly.
He gets hourly and I think he
Mileage.
gets mileage, which we may have, and you might add that in there that, you know, could get mileage, you know.
May
Well, so does the
Maybe-
CEO
maybe
gets,
it's the mileage.
CEO gets mileage too.
reimbursement, yeah.
Based on.
Because I mean,
operating procedures.
The on-call firefighters are all gonna be part of the on-call employee too.
Yeah.
They get paid an hourly wage and
Right.
that's,
So we could add that line.
They don't get mileage, though, do they?
but that's what I said, it may be entitled.
You're right. Yeah,
Okay, so animal control officer would go out of the listing of department heads.
Did we answer the question about the health officer though?
well, if the animal control officer is not a department head, then the health,
Neither is.
neither is the health officer.
Just wanted to make sure your question was answered.
Right, yeah, I was trying to get them consistent.
Does it-
I think neither
does the
one
health-
really.
Health officers.
Stipend. Yeah, there's no hourly
Yeah.
wage for the health, for the health
It's an
officer.
appointed stipend.
Yeah.
position.
So you can't have to have a category for appointed position.
Okay,
Okay,
Or we can add it into that on-call employee and you know, a little paragraph that maybe an appointed thing subject to stipend too or something, just so it's in there.
Mhm.
And I think we only have one salaried employee. And that.
Now, yes, now, we used to have two.
Right. But I don't think. I think how we've always handled that is that the salaried employee was still required to work the work week that is consistent with the 40-hour work week.
so Lorna, you're our only salaried employee, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
But we're not just tweaking this for one.
Huh?
no, and we could have other salaries, I mean, we could have other salaried employees in the future.
No, no, I realize that. I was just asking the question.
Yeah.
Okay,
But I think this is pretty standard language required to work as many hours as it takes to satisfactorily meet the needs and demands of the position.
Mhm.
It could take 35 hours one week, it could take 55 hours another week.
Right. You stay till the job's done.
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay, so I have,
Has to have a standard work week in there somehow. We've always had it. So I feel like it should be reflected. I think we can have the number of hours maybe fluctuate from week to week. However, the town's expectation was that a salaried employee would be required to work generally 40 hours a week.
can we specify that for a salaried employee?
You can, it,
I don't think it's general.
I don't think it's generally accepted practice. I mean, I would think if
I
we
know
had,
the private sector necessarily isn't, because I'm salaried.
huh?
I'm salaried. It's a lot of legislation. We've also got something written into the contract for that too, so,
40 hours a week.
yeah.
Yeah.
So it's-
40
it's-
hours.
So it's already covered in
it's
the
already covered
contract.
in the contract.
If we want to change it, we can change it by next time around. If we want to change it with a different town manager, we could.
And should
different
we have
contract.
this be reflected, because if we're trying to update the policy so that we don't have to re-up them every time we have a change in personnel, would it make sense to say the employee will be required to work as many hours as are stated in their employment contract?
Well,
I don't think you can specify hours for a.
a
for a
salaried employee, you
You
can't,
can't specify the number of hours.
I think we'd have to check with them and I don't think you can. The same way, if you have a salaried employee and they work one day of the week, and they're sick, there's some extra benefits there, you know, it's considered they've worked, so. There are benefits to being a salaried employee, and I don't know that we can change those.
Can you check with MMA on that, Lorna, and then we'll revisit this one the next time as well?
Yes, I can.
Okay.
So I just looked up the definition of salaried employees, and according to the Fair Labor Standards Act, it talks about the compensation guaranteed. They receive a guaranteed minimum amount of compensation for any given week that they have completed work. So there's zero mention of hours.
They've completed work, yes.
Yeah.
So if you
So-
work one day, you've worked the week.
As long as you do your
Right,
job.
so this is just one quick Google search or whatever,
Yeah.
but it's taking language from the Fair Labor Standards Act. Perhaps MMA will.
We should get that clarified.
They can look at it. Typically, the reason they do this salary is because they know some weeks you may work 70 hours, but only get
Right.
paid 40.
Right.
So the next week, you may only work 3 days,
Right.
get paid for 40.
Right.
And they hope it all balances out, you get your job done every week.
Okay,
Okay, so
other than
I
that.
I move that we table this, until the next meeting, and so we can
Finish that one.
act on it, except on this.
I second that.
So you moved and Carol
I
seconded
seconded
it.
it. All in favor, Peter?
Yes.
Carol,
Yes,
Melanie? Sorry, Carol.
yeah.
Ann?
Yeah.
Robert, yes, okay. 5 in favor. All right, move
Yeah,
on
and
to. Oh, I was gonna say, new business comprehensive plan. So, here's the comprehensive plan committee.
Yeah, we have a few remarks we'd like to kick
Okay,
it off with, and then we'll be open to questions and so forth. I just want to recognize the members of the comprehensive Lakes Committee every year.
okay, Pat, can you introduce yourself?
Pat Donahue, Mike Garino, Lenny Reich on Zoom, and Michael Barrett on Zoom.
Oh, wait, you're on the Lakes Committee. This is
Lakes Committee, yes.
This is comprehensive plan.
Oh, we jumped it up. Oh, we did?
Comprehensive plan is unfinished business B. But that's why I thought you were gonna comment, because you're on the comfort, you and Kim, and Dee are on the
Yeah.
comprehensive plan committee, and Mike,
Lakes
oh,
Committee's gonna find out.
you don't live here anymore.
Yeah, I did.
You live in Belgrade?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you moved to Sydney. No.
Nope, my kid did.
Ah,
I'm still here.
okay, okay.
Actually,
Okay.
not moving.
Okay, so the reason that we have a comprehensive plan on the agenda is, as Lorna can explain. we have- we have a-
This has been in front of you a couple of different times, included in the town manager's report. We spoke most recently about the need to update the plan every 10 years. The state gives you a grace period of 2 additional years, so every 12. So we need to have our plan updated by March of 26, I believe.
Yes,
I had reached out to Katie Cog because they helped the last time around. They were able to put together a proposal, which you received a copy previously, but you have another copy here to review. The proposal cost is good until July 18. We had also given you information to look at with regard to map digitization, doing the parcel data, the sketch, the photos, and integrating permits so that it would almost, in a sense, be a one-stop shopping experience for our residents or the public at large to go to our website and be able to get that information on any parcel in town. And by the map system. MMA has said there's such a broad standard set now for using American Rescue Plan funds that updating the comprehensive plan and including the map digitization would fall under the American Rescue Plan funding if the board chose to do. So that's what you have in front of you is the Katie Cog information. I pulled the map digitization information from CAI. I had given it to you previously, I think in my town manager's report, but I just put it in a single document, made the type a little larger. I know there was a question about digitization because Katie Cog can do some of that, but their capability is much different than CAI. And I don't know if you've had the opportunity to look at any of the links.
Yes.
That both entities have provided, but you'll see that CAI is a much better experience than what KB Cog can offer for that. So there is a difference in pricing with KB Cog digitizing and CAI. There's two costs there.
If we choose to go with CAI for the digitizing of the maps, would that perhaps reduce the cost that we would be charged by KB Cog or?
I think that it could possibly, and I still think that if the comprehensive plan is working on updating those spreadsheets, the action plans, that there may be an opportunity to reduce some of the work that KB Cog thinks that they need to do. So that I'm thinking that this proposal estimate might be lower. I'm in hopes that it would be anyway.
Peter, you wanted to say something?
I do. I've been waiting for this for years. This is something that we need to get to. I've visited these links that you've provided in the past, and it does give a wonderful experience to examine partial data, which is a great thing for an individual. In addition to that, the ability to answer questions across the town, those questions can be answered by using this tool. For example, if you have goals for the comprehensive plan that are looking at not developing X amount of acres or some percentage of acres that are part of the town in an area, you can do that with this tool. To me, the only way to ever know answers to those questions about what's happening across the town and across each of the parcels is to do this. This is exactly what we have to do. So I'm hoping that we can get some time to examine this. I'm grateful that ARPA funding is available at this time. Couldn't have come at a better time for this particular outcome. I hope that we can consider this, so.
So one person just be cognizant of the recurring costs. So this is 28,000 plus 6,400 a year. plus $950 plus $700 annually, plus $1,000 annually, $1,500 to set up. So I want us to be clear what the total cost is. And if Katie Cobb can match it and not have, that's, there's a lot of fees to be determined, which is sort of like not giving us a cap, which terrifies me. Especially if we're in a contract and we don't have caps on how much it's gonna cost us. This 28,000 could go to 75,000 like that. So I want to make sure that we do apples to apples, and if KB Cog can do the same thing and it won't cost us the recurring costs over and over again, then maybe that's, or if it's less over the year, then maybe we want to just look at those both like that.
As I understand it, the mapping capabilities that KB Cog will do are very different from CAI. I think it was Hans at the Comprehensive Planning Committee the other day who said that it would make a huge difference.
And I'm not sure us deciding us for a town, I don't know if we need all these extras,
Those are options, but
Yeah.
they're not,
right? I don't,
it's,
I
right,
don't want to want any of these extras right now.
it's just the a la carte of whatever towns might need.
You know, I do see it's gonna be a $3,000 a year fee though. You know, on the base end. For the front page.
Mhm. Mhm. Yes. It's like we pay an annual fee for Trio, we pay an annual fee for iWork. Software is, that's, it costs an annual fee every time.
And right now, this would be a new fee because we're not paying anything right now for a service like this. But this is brand new.
And so additional costs are scary, for sure. And my enthusiasm for the fact that we not to incur more costs necessarily, I'm very concerned about the opposite. Can we afford to not do this? At some point, we're gonna be looking at goals of the comprehensive plan and have some big questions that we can't answer. You know, have we met the goals of the comprehensive plan? Have we burned up more land in development that exceed what we already have identified? In my opinion, I don't think we want to be in that position where we can't have an answer to those questions.
As we face pressures of development going forward.
And those developmental pressures are not going to get any less. They're going to increase substantially. And I think we need the tool to be able to manage that. And if we come to the point where we say, no, we don't want any more, we have data that can back us up
Right.
when we get there, as opposed to guessing and surmising.
So if we look at an ARPA fund path, we could perhaps include the 29.9, say $30,000 CAI, the first year of the comprehensive plan fee for Katie Cog, which would be $14,000. And then we haven't really talked about this much, but possibly upgrading the iWork to the Civic Plus system, which would be a fee of $2,000.
So if we're looking at a cap, we're looking at 46,000, right? Basically.
Yeah. And I know that, Lorna, don't you have a demo schedule? You and Hans have a demo schedule?
The 9th, Tuesday, the 9th with Civic Plus. They are the company we have our website through. So they offer a module that does the permitting portal, like what iWork is. iWork, Hans explained to me, is more of a file cabinet. It's not much of an interactive tool. So Civic Plus does offer something that is better than what we're currently using, and I think we're paying $3 a year for iWork. It's that software annual fee.
I thought the whole purpose of the iWork was because when the information was contained in an iPad, he could take that with him out on site, do his drawings, it would be uploaded to the system. It's the best instance, at least for the cold cuts. So now it's not.
I don't know, that was here before Hans and iWork was here before.
Just being integrated, and that was to make the code enforcement officer's job easier.
But is somewhere, I was thinking the CAI or whatever it is, would allow you to take, once you get all that data here, it allows you to communicate it.
Yeah,
And
if you
link to
look
the-
at if you looked at some of those links, you would see that you get like the property tax card, the photos, the sketch, permits,
Right,
all of that information for each parcel.
so it
is-
allows it to
is
be
there.
interactive instead of having to go and find it.
Yes.
Go and look for it.
But we should probably talk about that. Maybe I shouldn't have even brought that up because you and Hans are having a presentation.
having that,
It's sort of
yeah.
premature to
Right.
put that in the package when we don't really know what the advantages, the real advantages
Right.
are over the system that we already have.
Mhm.
But I know Hans referred to what we have as
A file cabinet.
a file cabinet, yeah. But I do think that I would like us to consider using the ARPA funding for the first year of the KV cog, because they can get started as soon as June. And a lot of what they start with is general, so even if, and their price is current for 90 days
Correct, until
from
July.
April, and the date they
18,
submitted was April 18th, I think.
Yes, July 18 would be the
So,
expiration.
so
of the
there,
cost.
that price of $28,000, up to $28,000 over 2
Right.
years, would
Yeah.
expire in 3 months, and well, 2.5 months now.
Mhm.
But I think that with Peter's strong recommendation, the CAI digitizing really seems like it's worth it.
And we're sure the KV code cannot digitize to the same. Have we
Correct.
said, have we given them this and said, can you recreate that for the town of Belgrade? And they said no.
If you looked at the links they provided of what they're able to do, it is not the same as CAI. If you compare both of those links and take a look at the sites that they give us to see what their capability is, it's not the same.
I haven't looked at the links, I have to
I
say,
am not even.
but I'm glad Peter has, because I think he's the most
Yeah.
computer savvy of all of us here. so.
I want to know how KV Cog comes up with their hourly rate. $28,000, 300 hours, comes up to $93.3333 per hour.
Interesting.
That's a weird way of calculating an hourly rate.
Well, and just like with the CAI,
Mm.
the KV cog contract has all sorts of add-ons. You know, if we want to have them survey this, or if we want to have X number of public meetings, you know, there's a certain basic amount of services that are
That's all
included.
included.
No, but they have another, in their contract, don't they have another?
Yep, and it says all of this, all of these above tax estimates.
Yeah.
according to- Not in addition
It's
to.
300, a total of 300 hours.
Right.
So,
It could be we get going through this, we decide, oh, wouldn't it be nice to know this, and then we'd have to contract for the extra part of it. But
oh, I
Are
see.
we
Well, it's
ready
on page 13, where they talk about what it costs on average, costs could reach, but maybe I misunderstood. Maybe that's all included.
are we ready to make a decision tonight? Are we
You're gonna have to-
comfortable?
You're gonna have to make a decision on that other digitizing, because you can't accept this contract without saying, yeah, do it with the digitizing.
Do with the digitized, yeah.
So you're gonna have to make a decision on the other.
I mean, I'm comfortable making a decision. I don't know about the rest of you. I guess that was my question.
You're saying make the decision on CAI?
Or
Yeah.
You know, on the
KV cog.
digitized. On digitizing the maps plus the KV cog.
Right, those are two different things. The CAI is
There's another company.
a different company from KV cog. So the CAI digital mapping is over and above what KV cog can do for
Correct.
us.
CAI is another $29,900 plus $3,000.
And then six.
Right, and that's the 2990. 14 is 1 year of the,
1 year of the comprehensive
1
plan.
year of the
Right, yeah, it's
comprehensive plan.
confusing because the total
Is
estimate is
20, yeah.
28,000, yeah,
Right.
yeah. I mean, we could take both years of the comprehensive plan. We could take the entire contract out of it. Consider taking the entire contract out of our.
we should ask KV cog if we pay it all up front, do we get a discount?
Well, I think if we're considering not having them do our mapping, then we would ask them for a revised contract if we use a different company for that. Because they've included that as part of their costs in that 28,000. So I would want us to approve 28,000, and then we take the mapping away, and they're like, well, now it's 19. Would be okay to table this to the next meeting to give us all a chance to look at the mapping between the two and really kind of compare them.
Yeah, if we want to table it, yeah.
And then
Yeah.
we can bring that back under unfinished business and then give us a chance to.
Fine.
Are you moving that to table?
Yes, we can move that to table this item.
I'll second that.
Yay!
Yay.
Yay,
Who's 12 Paul?
Okay. All in favor, Jan,
Yes.
Carol,
yes.
Peter?
Yes.
Melanie?
Yes.
Barbara, yes, okay, 5 yeses for tabling, and we'll try to come to a decision on this next week.
Okay,
Okay, under new business, we have some appointments and resignations. So I move that we open this item for appointments and resignations.
second,
Okay, thank you. Thank you. The first is Kelsey Lee for Board of Appeals alternate and Board of Assessment and Review.
And are these new appointments, or we're still not doing it, if it's a or a new?
Is Kelsey here?
New.
She is not, I don't see her.
I think she was there earlier, but she left.
So I don't see a reappointment here, so I
Okay,
make a motion that we table Kelsey Lee's application until she can join us at a meeting, either in person or via Zoom.
second, all in favor? Peter?
Yes.
Melanie?
Yes.
Carol?
yes.
Dan?
Yeah.
Barbara? Yes, okay. Next is Patrick Donahue. Reappointment for the Comprehensive Plan Review Committee.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second that.
Okay. We appreciate all that you're doing, Pat. All in favor? Peter?
Yes.
Melanie?
Yes.
Carol?
Yes,
Dan?
Yes.
That's okay, 5 in favor. And we have 3 resignations. So I move that we accept the following resignations. Can we do them all at once?
We should. Who's looking? You can see the last.
Bowmer. Okay, so the following have submitted resignations to the town. Mike Harrington, Public Works Ad Hoc Committee, due to other commitments. I move that we accept his resignation with
Second.
regret. Carol, second. All in favor, Peter?
Yes.
Melanie?
Yes.
Carol?
yes.
Dan?
Yes.
Barbara, yes, okay. I move that we accept the resignation of Caitlin Thibodeau from the Parks and Recreation Committee due to other commitments.
Second that.
All in favor?
Yes.
Louise? Carol?
Yes,
Dan? Bill started? Okay. And I move we accept the resignation of Nathaniel Bomer from the Public Works Ad Hoc Committee. He cannot make the meetings.
Are the meetings during the day?
They're at 8 o'clock in the morning.
So if somebody has an outside job. That probably does prohibit a lot of folks from being able to participate.
Most, all of our committee members are
Yeah.
here. We have a pretty big group.
Cool.
Mm.
Okay,
did you? move?
I'll
second it.
okay. All in favor, Peter?
Yes.
Melanie?
Yes.
Carol?
Yes,
Dan?
Yes,
Barbara, yes, okay. Accepting resignations with regret. Almost there. Acceptable use agreement, since we have Lakes people here, could I suggest that we move that item up now?
I moved that.
I'll second that.
Okay. I don't think we need to vote on it. All in favor of moving this to the next item of business?
Yeah.
Yes?
Yes.
Okay. All right, Lakes Committee, Patrick,
Okay.
go ahead.
The Lakes Committee would like to present to you a potential change for a mission and committee name in an effort to better assist the town. I'd like to thank the members of our committee who are here today, Mike Carino, Lee Reich on Zoom, and Mike Barrett on Zoom, and Kimberly Dallas and Dee Cook from the Comprehensive Plan Review Committee, who played a big role in all this initial start to get this going. Last fall, it begins last fall, around December, the Comprehensive Plan Review Committee looked into priority recommendations in both the 1998 and 2014 comprehensive plans, which was for Belgrade to establish a conservation committee that will take the lead on research protection strategies, including land and lake issues and open space. The Comprehensive Plan Committee brought this to the attention of the Lakes Committee. And over the next few months, both committees teamed up together to do research on excuse me, what other towns with conservation committees or commissions with similar size and demographics are currently doing. What's out there? We looked at about probably a half a dozen towns, some on the coast, some here, and they all kind of melded into about three things. We found they were focused on land use topics, water quality, outdoor recreation, and engaging their community through outreach and education was a big part of it. Getting people involved, hearing from them, and listening. We believe this is an approach for Belgrade. By changing it to a more comprehensive conservation committee, we would be able to include committee members from land-based organizations such as snowmobile clubs, large landowners, building contractors, and outdoor recreation enthusiasts, giving that committee a much broader perspective and benefiting the town in a number of ways. When we think about today and the future, how do we protect what makes Belgrade a special place to live? How do we keep natural areas and lakes that are important for our health and our community? How do we provide quality outdoor experiences for our residents? And what legacy we leave our children? Mike Carino from our committee is going to talk about some of the, we have a list of bullet points for you and kind of prioritize, or not so much prioritize, but go over some of the topics we may seek to do. And this is just a general thing that fits into what we thought.
Mike Carino. Did you have a copy of that?
Yes.
Rather than sit here
Yes.
verbatim, right?
Yes,
Everybody sort of has the copy. I'm just gonna talk, I'm struggling with my voice, so you guys can hear me a little bit.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, I don't know. So the, sorry, come back. So the big gist was, some things have been identified as the committee has progressed from back in the moorings all the way up to where we are now. And because long range planning committee, this was an identified requirement for the long range planning committee, we thought that it was a good time to sort of morph these two committees together to address the things that are on the list. Some of which we're already doing. This expands the reach of the conservation committee specifically for land, which, as we all know, in protect lakes, we have to protect the lands as well, right? And work on the phosphorus loads that we're all dealing with and pretty aware of. So what we wanted to do was come to the select board and ask, basically, what are the next steps? Well, get your opinions on this, obviously, first, but then what are the next steps to sort of bring this together to meet the long range planning commitment? So we're happy to answer questions, or I can talk more about the concepts, but I think you have that. Yeah.
So it's changing the name
Right.
and expanding the purview of the committee.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah, and so what we found when we did the research was, excuse me, that the majority of the townships, the towns that we looked at have a conservation committee. The Lakes Committee was fulfilling a portion of that role, but we felt that now is a good time to expand that. As the town continues to grow, a lot of it has to do with what you were just talking about a few minutes ago, right? So this committee, Conservation Committee, is really just a resource for the select board so that we can help with education, promotion of healthy lifestyles in our community, and then not get ahead of our skis when development starts to come, what the effects are on the lakes and on the lands in our town. Yeah.
And I know it was identified in the comprehensive plan of
It's something we
2014.
introduced in what, 88?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're working on it.
88
So,
too.
yeah, that was the first time.
98.
98?
98, and I know
So
it's
far,
in
though, it's still.
2014 to have a conservation committee, so
Yeah.
it seems like it makes sense.
Yeah, we thought that, we had quite a bit of dialogue through our committee meetings on this. And we just thought it was something that we should present to the town because we think it's the direction we were supposed to be going anyway. So we can fill that rather than create another committee and do the same old, tapping the same volunteers. And you know what I mean? And then sort of duplicating some of the efforts that we don't have enough people in town for all of that. And so we thought streamlining would be the way to go. Yeah.
Okay, so what is our role in this? We need to create a new committee?
What we would need to do is we need to bring the charges from the Lakes Committee forward, because we took the Moorings Committee and then turned that into a Lakes Committee, so charges move forward with that. So what we need to do is bring the charges forward and see how those would need to be tweaked to become what a conservation committee would be, and then that would come back to the board for approval. And
Okay. That's sort of what we thought.
So that change the charge, what the scope of responsibility is.
Yeah,
That's what we thought. We don't have to change our membership. We have 7 members, 3 are with 1 each for each lake association. We have a seasonal resident, then 3 others. So
okay, because that was gonna be my.
That'll
question,
balance
is
it out.
There'd be enough members for that, especially if you pulling people from the Somerville Club.
we have 2 vacancies now.
Right, which we'd like to, really strategically identify for land use, people, so that we can get more representation from the town, on land issues.
And at what point do we approve this tonight going forward,
I'm
or?
not crazy about the name, the title Conservation Committee. I'd rather find a different title for it, something like Natural Resources Committee or something. I think it'd be a little less controversial. Because you've got some people that don't like the fact we spend money on milfoil. It's just that, I think they're gonna see more conservation being pushed. Whereas natural resources, you're looking at air, water, land, kind of everything.
I think that's how it's spelled out in the mission of board in the last comprehensive plan. It's great natural resources.
So you would still keep your charge for the lakes part of the
That's-
committee?
It's land,
You
it's water.
just
it's-
build it into everything you want them to look at.
Yeah. Yes, I
Would
just
you be
don't want that
comfortable-
lakes part of it to get
No,
lost.
Would you
No,
be
that's
comfortable
still-
changing the name to Natural Resources Committee? Does that?
Yeah.
Does that work for your?
No, I get what you're saying.
I think you're right. Kind of, it's what's already in print for.
I like it better.
I'd like it better.
Can I speak? I'm trying to raise my hand here. This is Lenny. Can I speak?
Yes.
I think what we need from the select board tonight is I'm not sure if this needs to be a formal approval, but I think we need to get approval to go to work on our charter. We have we have bylaws, or I believe that they're called bylaws as opposed to a charter that specifically set out what we are, what we're supposed to do. And they also set out what our meeting, how often we're supposed to meet and so forth. That needs to be changed in a significant way. And then you would have to vote, I believe, to approve it.
Right,
Right.
So I think at this point, we just need the okay to go ahead and work on making that change, and that you would, that you're inclined to consider approving it.
so you're really looking more for a consensus of the board
I
that we
guess
think this is a
at
good
this point,
idea?
yeah, that you approve of doing this, and that we'll go ahead and work on the chart on changing our bylaws and come back.
Mhm.
Okay, and so I can't see, someone else has a hand up.
No, it was.
Sorry, Paul, we thought your hand was up, but it was just our mouse. Never mind.
I put the mouse up there.
Yeah.
See how it turns to in, but if I move it down.
Oh, okay.
I was like, well, it's not yellow. Okay, that's the new meeting.
A new way to turn someone into a mouse.
So is it fair to say that we have a consensus to
Yes, from my perspective.
pursue,
yes.
or to support the committee in pursuing this change?
I'm okay with
To
that.
become a natural resources committee and see what you need to do to move from lakes to land and air and whatever else. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the name would go from the Lakes Committee to the Natural Resources Committee.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Wonderful.
That's a good. I like
Yep.
that.
Yeah, it takes that edge off,
Yeah.
well, it does,
It really does.
when you walk in certain people's shoes, the word conservation is not. Doesn't have a negative connotation, right, but it
Right.
certainly can.
It can be-
to
it can be
others.
threat-
So
it
I
can
think
be
that's a nice way to word it,
Yeah.
yeah.
So
It fits.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, well, great, thank you, thank you very
That
much.
was the biggest thing, is we
Taking
didn't want
this
to
on.
get cracking on something without it.
And then we're like.
Right, you're like,
no,
what are you doing?
Yeah.
We only two
So,
committees.
that, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for sticking with us.
Thank you.
you're gonna have to teach me how to play pickleball. Okay, you'll teach me.
Wednesday and Friday. In the summer, there is weekends, even down to.
So you can take pictures of the pickleball people.
They just had the national pickleball. They just had the national pickleball championships down in Florida.
It's really serious.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, it's huge.
I don't get out.
I've watched it. It's like badminton, you go to the tennis now. You know, that.
It's a shorter net.
Yeah, you hit the ball
Smaller.
like that.
So you
But you aren't charging the ball. Yeah, getting ready to rewrite the rules, but the rules are so confusing.
Yeah.
The national organization is getting ready to rewrite the rules to make it easier to understand.
I think you're fine.
You can only, right now, you can only score, no, sir.
Like, it's not that really.
Do we want to take a 2-minute break? Is it 2-minute break?
Canada's on its own, so.
Melody's taking 2 minutes.
Melody's taking 2 minutes. Okay.
Yeah, do we
Take a break.
Take a
private break?
Let the chair declares a 2-minute break.
Are you on break?
Thank you, we're doing a little 2-minute break.
Yeah.
Phone number from Farmington is Lizzie's one down the station.
I don't know the name.
Is it okay to just speak?
I didn't know, so you're sharing, I didn't know.
No,
I didn't-
I
I like.
don't recognize that.
With the meeting.
You use higher.
So we, not gaming, it's
That's
not
an
gambling.
outfit.
Unfortunately, I work for the.
Oh,
you are? Yeah, they fund us, and then we bring in the sporting events and do all the research and figure out the economic impact for different events and stuff. Pickleball is off the charts, right? We're bringing them to the Mid-Coast Recreation Center. in Brunswick. There's a Mark and an MRC, two different places. One in Brunswick is building it. They have an indoor football stadium. That's it. Now you're building 12 outdoor courts in the stadium to host national. It's like, and they're not going to go plan on Kansas City next week for meetings with people to bring anything out of their events. Wow. It is. Yeah, it's the biggest factory. That corner was, yeah,
He's a
the
pleasant
American
person.
Yeah.
organization overseeing body.
And he doesn't understand the legal system.
Bringing national event.
I have no, we have no control.
Yeah.
And he has the right to-
Yeah, exactly. It's gonna drive thousands of people.
Lorna, yes, for Saturday morning,
Yes.
So,
And we'll-
yeah, it's good to see you too. Yeah, it's nice to get out once.
I know there was,
This is a remote working thing.
I know there was talk about making some arrangements for parking or getting people back, you know, where people can into Ricky's memorial.
Yeah.
Nobody has approached me about anything. I know,
I think, I guess my suggestion is, maybe we reach out to
Should I stop
Jeremy
recording?
Used to be on.
and say,
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, I move that we open the item of acceptable use agreement.
Right.
Lorna, take it away.
So we get the cybersecurity insurance piece through our insurance with MMA. They have said now that they require the town have a policy called an acceptable use policy or acceptable use agreement. And basically what this does is it spells out what we can and cannot do with the town's computer systems. And employees would need to read it, acknowledge it, and sign off. But it's in an effort to protect the town and to protect employees too. But without something in place, it's very difficult for employees to know what they can and can't do if there's no policy in place that outlines that. And I did ask Peter to review it because he's pretty knowledgeable about this. And this is actually something that MMA sent. And then it was modified, you know, we put in Belgrade and like that, so that it would fit our town. They do require this for that coverage that is included. It's no additional cost for us. It does need to be put in place by June.
So if I could add at this
Yeah,
moment.
yes.
yeah,
I think this is constructed well. I didn't have many other things to talk about with this, but I did want to point out several things that are important for the staff. And that, so under acceptable use, there's a social media section and renewable media section in here.
Yep.
It seems rather benign. You think, well, you know, social media, you know, what's that? But as a staff person or as an employee of the town, this town, to point out where you should not be using social media in this section, I think can help. It can help both the staff person and it can help the town. So it was good to have those things in there. And then to supplement this, I just want to advocate at some point that we consider additional training, cybersecurity training for staff at some point. Because there's one thing to say, hey, don't do this or do this, but then to support it with training so that people become more informed and educated when they start clicking around on stuff.
so if someone's here working on the town computer, do we allow them to open up Facebook on a different browser?
Their personal Facebook account.
On the town computer? Does that sound appropriate? I mean, I never let my people do that, so, and I'll
I
stay
don't
so
think you should
afraid
be
that,
doing anything on the town computers, like, I don't know how many times when I used to personally go through the state doing fire extinguishers, that I'd walk through the cross building. And walk by people's desks and they were online shopping
yeah,
on state computers, so.
I mean, it's sort of my feeling, if they want to be on Facebook or anything like that, they either do it on their phone or they bring their own laptop on for breaks, but they don't use the town's computer and just open up another browser and log into
Facebook or
whoever.
Yeah.
Or log into their own email. I mean, that's personal
It
time.
says
That's not what
personal,
we're
this
paying
says
for.
personal use of social networking websites from Belgrade provided equipment is prohibited under social media. So that's,
Right, so
isn't that pretty clear?
Well,
on page 4. Personal use of social networking websites, which include Facebook, Twitter,
Yep.
Snapchat, whatever,
And
from Belgrade provided equipment is prohibited, so they shouldn't be, doing it. If they want to do it, they should do it from their phone or from their own device.
right, and I think maybe to answer Carol's question a little bit, since this is an acceptable use agreement that's not yet implemented. If we decided to go forward with it, it would be a change,
Right,
right? It would be one of those things where we say, well, currently. It's kind of the wild, wild west,
yeah,
roughly, right? I mean, I don't think there's anything in place, correct me if I'm wrong,
There's nothing.
any policy or
Right.
technical prohibition, because that's another thing we could do. We could just. There are ways to prohibit any of these tools to get to several types of sites. We just blacklist them.
yeah.
I mean, I know it can be done.
I mean, I'd rather do it as, ask them not to, and then if you have people that you go by and see they're on the shopping network, then you work on disciplining those that step out of it, because we have staff, we know them with, senior staff. You may have been able to do this in the past, we are not going to be able to do it in the future, and
Correct.
so, and, one of the things that I get periodically is examples of phishing options. So periodically, I'll get an email looks like I should open it, and you click on it, and I get reported to the security police.
Right,
Right.
And
I
it
got one of
teaches
those.
you,
Yeah.
not to do it, and,
Right.
Allstate does it all the time, because they want to make sure you're not opening on something that you don't know what it is,
Right.
but it's like, okay, how many times do you need to get your hand slapped, and then maybe you start paying attention.
right.
And I think some training along those lines, not in a negative, but all of us, if you ever know someone who clicked on something and their computer is locked. And you hear this me, didn't happen to me, but I know someone it did happen to. And then it said, call this number, so they called the number. And then it totally locked their computer, and $600 later at the Geek Squad, and change every password you ever had, and we just need to be really careful of that, and if we give examples of that in training situations, then the staff, no one here is gonna be, is trying to do anything bad,
Right.
it's just making sure that we're being appropriate, especially with town
Well, 'cause
information.
it's no different than if somebody has Facebook up and they click on an ad, it looks like a legitimate ad, but it's not a legitimate ad.
Right.
And then
Yeah.
that takes you down the rabbit hole.
Right.
Right.
So
Yeah.
Great
I think
point.
it's always like, just don't do it.
Right, and if it
Yeah.
can be presented, as you're saying, the training, if it can be presented to staff, that this is not designed to punish people. I'm
Yeah.
not saying that you can't use your own personal devices to,
Right,
check your Facebook account.
and most people
whatever.
have iPhones or not, they could bring up their own computer if they had something
Yeah,
big they needed to work
iPad.
on break time.
yeah,
But just make sure we institute that policy.
but it seems to me that that's for two reasons. It says personal use of social
Right, yeah,
networking websites must not interfere with working time. But it doesn't, and then it says it's prohibited, but it doesn't then go on to say, unless it talks in another section. That this can also be a security risk. It's not just that we want you to
Right.
do your jobs, it's that we don't want you to cause a problem for our system.
right.
Yeah, very good. Yes.
Okay, so that was one. I didn't mean to interrupt you, Peter.
Oh, no, and it's a great conversation, and I could talk about this stuff all day long.
Well, when they
Fast.
start doing the social media part, it says this, and kind of like things. There's a couple of them I'd like to see listed there. The state just banned all TikTok on any state-owned devices.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I'd like to see that one spelled out, and Snapchat,
Oh,
if you've got a town phone, because the problem with Snapchat is you have to be able to have FOIA. If somebody requests something, and Snapchat disappears. So you can't do that on the town device.
I thought you were gonna say because Snapchat allows like tracking capabilities.
well, you get
Snapchat, problem with Snapchat is if you send somebody a text or a picture on Snapchat, You look at it and 30 seconds later, it disappears, it's gone.
Right,
You can't retrieve that.
because there's a bunch of,
Right.
there's kicks, there's a bunch that we don't know.
True.
And probably should have Instagram on there too.
And then
So,
there's
just some of the ones we specifically
Finsta,
know.
which is the
These,
Instagram.
and,
Spectrum,
Wait, wait.
but
yeah, and others to be developed and,
I mean, we probably can't list them all. I mean, you can list the ones that we know of, but there are probably 10 more that
Well,
we don't.
right.
keep their description of.
Kids are Finsta. What is Finsta?
But if we say the personal use of, and they use examples, Facebook, Twitter, or it says, or social networking websites must not interfere with working time. Personal use of social networking websites from Belgrade equipment is prohibited. It doesn't matter what it is, any social
Right.
networking site.
But I would prefer to see some of the ones that we're having trouble with right now, specifically listed under, where it's fast to list them.
So just add personal use of Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, Snapchat, or other social networking websites.
yeah, or similar.
Yeah, because those are the ones we know
Yeah.
with there's problems with it.
I don't know who in their right mind ever would install TikTok on their phone.
Every, probably everybody under 30.
Sometimes I get sucked into the cooking videos.
No,
And all of a sudden I'm like.
Scotty
can
and
we
Katie
see?
both have it,
Yeah,
and Scott and I refuse.
No,
but I think it's generational.
Probably.
Yeah.
they're staying
As I
on
used to tell my mother, it's generational now in
Okay,
realize.
Melanie has a question, comment?
Removable media, can we just have a period after not owned or leased by Belgrade? Is there a reason why anyone would need to take information from a town computer on removable media and take it anywhere outside of the town office?
No,
So if we just put a period after that, no, just can't connect it, period. So.
well, we have the safety training that the, fire department, fire and rescue department puts on a thumb drive. And other departments are able to use them.
But those are used on Belgrade computers.
Yes.
Are they Belgrade, not getting too
Thumb
far into
drives,
weeds, are they
yeah.
Belgrade just thumb drives?
That I don't know.
So I only ask that, not saying anybody's doing anything wrong at all. Just consider the risk
Mhm.
when
Right,
bad dude makes chums with somebody, says, hey, you know, you can use this next time you go to a meeting. And then on that is something infected,
Right.
yeah,
you know, so it's just a thought.
Mhm.
I only bring that up because of, when there's no control over the removable media that comes in, then you have no control over what happens to it when it gets plugged in.
right.
You know what I mean?
So,
And you can
question,
also
what if-
buy thumb drives and have them. I know, Pauline over in Buckfield, she was a tech person and when she used to buy thumb drives, she took them somewhere. And had them, I don't know what they do to them, but it's almost like they put them through something and they basically certified that they're clean and safe. And she did that with all of them that she purchased before she would use them.
Can you guys
So
hear me?
that they were
Yeah, Travis.
clean.
Sorry, I just wanted to say, we do that, the annual mandatory training. We do record that on our camera, and then we put it on the thumb drive to give to anyone that's not able to go. So,
Yeah.
and to do that, it does go through the computer, the town computer at the station.
But is it only shown on a town computer, or could someone take the thumb drive
No,
and
they
watch
can't.
it from their house?
No,
No, they can take it home and watch it.
no, they can't take it home.
no, that's
He's
what
saying,
he's saying,
they
they
can take it
That's what
home.
we do.
that's what they do.
If I can't make the meeting, it gives me the thumb drive recording the meeting, I can also watch it.
Oh, well, the thumb drive we have here, there's only one and it doesn't leave the
Yeah.
town.
He's talking
Yeah.
about the one that they have
Okay.
fire.
Fire department. You know, I'm thinking, is there a situation, and I don't know, but is there a situation where we would be making a presentation somewhere, similar to Carl Gartley coming here and plugging in the thumb drive, would we be in the situation where we might take something from here and put it in a thumb drive of someone else for a presentation? I don't know where the situation might come up, but,
If Lorna goes and gives a presentation
on something
on
or,
something,
you know, that's the only question I would have there. is-
but if Travis is saying that people that their thumb drive is being used in computers that are not owned or leased, if you can take the training home and you use it in your own computer,
Yeah,
then we need to keep in this explicit permission of Belgrade's town manager, otherwise they would be going against policy.
right,
Right,
and we
So-
could, Lorna could give permission for the fire department to have 4 training tapes or something.
Not only that, you're also actually taking a chance, because you could take it home, plug it into your computer. Their computer may be infected.
I was
you
just
don't know.
Right.
That's what I was
And
just
then you
Right.
gotta
gonna
send
say,
it
is I
back.
really feel like we need to say no unless. I don't know.
So what you would do in that case is, because you can buy thumb drives for fairly inexpensive, you would just make copies. And those would go, one would go with Dan, one would go with Carol,
And then
Barbara,
everyone would
Melanie,
get
Peter, they're yours, don't bring it back.
Oh,
Yeah.
right. That might be a way to help minimize risk.
Yes,
Yeah.
that definitely.
so one way.
Yeah, it
Travis,
doesn't come back, you can keep the thumb drive,
yeah, Travis, what do you think about that?
they're pretty inexpensive.
Yeah, I mean,
You don't
every
have-
year I buy a few to have to give out, and we could do it that way and just either destroy them after or whatever.
They're just really inexpensive, I would let the employees keep them, use them,
Yeah.
whatever.
Well, you could keep it, it just,
Don't bring it back.
don't bring it back to us, because you might bring us back cooties.
But
Yeah.
that's a surefire way,
Yeah,
To bring,
that's
because
your,
that's what that was my thought,
Right.
I was like, can we just make it a no-go policy, so. This thumb drive
but,
doesn't go between,
Right, one
so
way.
if we just have.
one way.
So then if we take out, so then that makes sense to take out that
Yes, so
phrase.
there is no permission.
There is no permission because we're not gonna do it. Removable media.
I mean,
But we're-
if Laura was going to make a presentation, she could put it on her. Do you have a town laptop?
No.
Oh. I'm gonna say you could take a town laptop and play it on the town.
But
laptop.
let's just talk about this specific situation with
Yeah.
Travis.
Yeah,
And how can we make it okay for them to have disposable, basically what would be disposable thumb drives? How can we say that?
well, I
if
think you
buy
could
a
do
new
this.
thumb drive and put in and copy your videos on it, take it out, set over here, you pop another new one in. Copy the same information, so you end up with 20 of these.
Right, but we're saying.
Right,
And they
but
go,
I'm
but
saying-
they don't back.
Right, I get that, but I'm in the policy, it says, but it still would be Belgrade removable media, because we would be providing the thumb drives. The fire department would be providing the thumb drives.
Mhm.
So we would need to say Belgrade removable media may not be connected or used in computers that are not owned or leased by Belgrade.
You could put a period there. And say,
I say just leave it.
training, Belgrade. Approved training. Will be conducted on. Belgrade. Thumb drives or something, and not returned, not accepted back.
Peter, what do you think? Are we
I hear what
making-
you're saying.
Or can we just leave it the way it is?
Without,
Well, because then what they're doing is wrong.
No, but she can give them permission to do that.
Oh, well, yeah,
The very last
right,
paragraph.
so I'm saying, yeah, maybe with written permission, so then they can keep that in their files and find it
Yeah.
out if somebody has questions. Document this as an.
But yeah, without
Totally, I can do that.
explicit permission would
Yes,
be.
maybe if we do without explicit written permission.
Because then that
Yeah.
spells out that the town of Belgrade gives.
Do it as an
planning
email.
authority
You can't
authority.
make it emails here, but
That's true.
They never go away.
So we need to order some thumb drives, once this is adopted. Hmm.
So Travis
I
was
know
saying,
I know you can get them fairly expensive. I did that, when I first started taking pictures for people. I would put their pictures on a thumb drive and I would give that to them. It didn't come back to me.
you don't
It
get
was
the
there.
ones with all these
Right,
super amount of gigs on, them, buy the
Right.
cheap.
They're
ones.
Yeah, so
great.
that's what he was saying, so
Yeah,
he
they're
usually
fairly
buys a handful
expensive.
and then that's
Yeah.
what he gives out, so
Yeah.
just.
they're not super
Don't reuse
expensive,
them.
are they, Trav?
No, they're not. You can buy like a package of 6 or whatever on Amazon and they're not too
Yeah.
bad. That's what I've.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
So I think this is a great start to have a policy in place, and thank you, Lorna, for doing the work on that. We'll get this. Really important.
Was there anything else, Peter? Do you, sir?
No, this brings a whole light to a big topic to the staff of the town of Belgrade. So
You know what I noticed? Passwords will be changed at least every 365 days. I've never seen that anywhere, right?
So do you see it change more frequently or just never changed?
Oh, no, more frequently.
Every 90 days.
I'd have to do mine every 45,
Oh, 45, wow.
yeah. And we have double skip that. It's just, that sounds, I mean, it's fine. They have to be changed at least once a year.
I would almost go at least.
But
twice.
I was just surprised that they would come out with a policy that stated that. I would have
I'm
expected
sure
it to be
I'm sure
different.
it's a minimum.
Yeah, okay. Are we ready?
so are we ready to approve this as amended?
Yeah, if you are.
Okay, so the amendments are to on page 4 of 6 to add the personal use of Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, Snapchat, and other social networking websites.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Must under the 13th time. And
Is it just social networking websites or do we shopping, like how would we? Or maybe just no websites that aren't town of Belgrade related.
there's something, was it in this policy where there's something about, oh, here, incidental use on page 6, incidental use of information resources.
Personal use of electronic.
Incidental personal use of electronic mail. Yeah, like I was talking with Mary about vegan recipes. I was going to send her a recipe. The only email I have for her is her town account. Is that okay that I send her a recipe to her town account? It says, yes, that is
As long as you
okay.
didn't put a fishing link in there.
Yeah.
For more,
Yeah.
more recipes. Wait, wait.
For stuff.
I still think we're better off sending them private emails.
Yeah, they should go private.
Town stuff should be having to do with town stuff.
Yeah,
Okay, so I'll get her
Thinking of
personal.
policy for shopping,
right.
if you're shopping, it should be for something for the town. Travis goes on there, goes on Amazon to buy thumb drives, that's
That's
town
fine.
related.
Right,
If you're going on to buy yourself a new shirt, that's not town related.
right, right.
But if you have to
Absolutely.
include them in the same delivery. Just-
I know, right?
But this says incidental personal use is okay. Incidental personal use of electronic mail, internet access, fax machines, so on and so on. Is restricted to approved users. So this recognizes that people will on occasion.
Right. And can I give you just one example? I like the idea of separating, town stuff from personal stuff. But there are instances where you might get something. My mom has emailed me at the state before. I say, Mom, don't do that, because that's not state business. But I've received it. I don't want to get fired over an incident like that,
Right.
right? So something like this allows for something to have occurred. Doesn't mean it was malicious. It's just
Right.
something that will happen in incident.
Mm-hmm,
So that's just an example, just.
yeah.
Right, or like Mary receiving a recipe from me because I didn't think to ask her for her personal email.
Right, that's not a fireable offense in my book. I mean, it's just something.
Just discourage it.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and if you send it to Mary, that's one thing, because she doesn't know that you're not sending her a question on registration till she opens it. It's when she sends it back to you. That's where the issue is. But, okay, so the only other change is there at the bottom of page 4, when we're saying written position instead of explicit.
And then the bottom of page 5, all individuals who enter.
Oh,
And is written now assumed to be email as well as a piece of paper?
I would think so.
Yeah.
I mean,
Either way.
Because we're a town, we can't get rid of the emails there.
yeah.
I believe that if it's part of a policy, we should print it and it should be part of it, because nobody should have to go back through an email, say 5 years down the road to try to find verification that we gave the fire department that. So if we do written permission for that, it should be included in wherever this is, so that.
Yeah, I mean,
Since, yeah.
like it just, she sends an email, she can print off a copy.
Right, that's
Yeah,
what I mean.
just print off a hard copy of what you send if you're gonna do it. so.
Because it's also the state requirement that that stuff has to be kept by policies, contracts in a printed form.
Okay.
Which I know
And-
Anthony hated, because like some electronic, I can't have a
Well,
vote.
now. And I would just like to change at the bottom of page 5, all individuals who enter.
Right.
Yes,
Instead of
Lorna,
that.
Lorna did bring that up.
Okay.
And then just one more thing on the top of page 6, is there any reason that third parties would be given access to our data center?
Unless authorized by town manager. One example.
Third party is our tech people.
Tech support.
Okay, that's what I was like.
They're a
that was
third
the only
party.
one?
They'd be the third party, some of these companies like Trio that may have to come in and do something,
Right.
they're,
Yeah.
they're a third
Seacoast
party.
Security,
Yeah.
I mean, there's any number of third party.
Yeah,
Okay.
So do we have a motion yet?
Not yet.
That, yeah, we're still working on it.
Quite close, and I'm pretty much ready to get a motion going, but I just wanted to mention too, I don't think I saw anything about, I'm not saying we have to include in this one. Anything about gambling, pornography. Or,
That's why I wondered if we
Something like
wanted to limit it to the social media sites.
don't we already have a social media policy that's separate from this?
We do have a social media policy.
okay,
I'm not sure what's in that too, but we can actually include more definition of. This is what the MMA wants, right?
Yeah.
For
Yeah.
insurance
Right.
coverage.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We can have that separate policy that includes that and actually makes it stronger too, if we wanted to.
Yeah, this talks about visiting sites that contain obscene, hateful, or objectionable materials.
okay,
On
yeah,
page 3.
okay, perfect.
People like, I like one. Just kidding.
No, that's. Send or receive any material that is obscene, defamatory, harassing, intimidating.
Okay.
So I think
thank you.
that's.
I think
that's
I think most everything's. covered.
I'm good.
I think it is.
I'm good.
But
Okay.
it's, you know, that,
So I move that we accept the policy as amended.
I second that.
All in favor? Dan?
yes.
Carol?
Yes.
Ellen?
Yes.
Peter?
Yes,
Barbara? Yes, okay, 5 in
okay,
favor.
thank you, Lorna.
Thank you, Peter, for lending your expertise.
Yeah.
All right. Coming to an end. Fuel bids. Move that we open the discussion of fuel bids.
Second that.
So, Lorna, can you explain this?
RSU asked us if we would like to participate in their group request out for pricing, which we did say, okay, sure, we're interested to find out what the cost would be if we buy as a group. So Dead River and Fabian are the low bidders under the RSU 18 contract. But Augusta Fuel, I got in touch with them and asked them if they would like to include pricing for consideration a bid. And that the board would be reviewing these, so he did email me over, I said, okay, we could do this price and this price, for you, so Augusta Fuel is included there, heating oil and propane, along with Vivian. And our current heating oil and propane contracts do end the end of this month.
So these are an improvement over last year.
Price of fuel's been going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, which
I
is
think
surprising.
they held us down last year as well. Well, because remember when this bid came in, fuel was $5.25.
Oh,
Yes,
yes.
he did, he did a really good job for us.
And propane was $3.99, I think, and he brought us at $1.85.
I mean, if he's been good to us in the past.
He's awesome.
He's,
Everyone's in him.
he's super,
He's fantastic.
he really is
Which is
super.
why last year we didn't even put it out, we didn't put it out to bid. You know, because we can, so I make a motion that we approve, Augusta Fuel Company's fuel bids for heating oil of 2.90 per gallon and propane of $1.45 per gallon.
Second that.
Excellent.
Moved and seconded.
All in favor?
Yes.
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 Yes, okay, 5 yeses.
Can I make a motion that we approve the contract with Dead River via LSU 18, their contracted price of diesel, $3.0792.
What do we have for storage tank? Diesel rate?
Because we were gonna try to top.
Wait, let me second that before we.
Yeah.
More discussion? Yeah.
Okay, Dan.
Great. Tanks. Are they
I don't know the
diesel?
size.
We don't have a whole lot of storage capacity for diesel. Most of our diesel is fire trucks and trucks that go get gas at Christie's or wherever.
There, Bruce, do you know, I see you're still on here.
And muted.
I'm just trying to figure out, see if it's even worth.
I know I asked Corey,
Do we have the ability to get diesel fuel from the state garage?
I don't think we.
No, there's
do.
Bruce.
Well, I think-
The
Go
storage tank that we have is I think it's a 75 gallon at the transfer station and the same at the cemetery building. It's for diesel for the skid steer, the Walker lawnmowers, the tractor and stuff like that. Plus we have diesel for the compactor motor down back. And I think that's a 75 gallon tank too.
Okay.
Could we chop those off if the diesel cost for this year that expires 5/31/23? If it's less than this quoted price.
We don't have a contract for diesel.
We don't have a contract at all. for diesel.
No.
And right now diesel's more than that, to get over towards
Yeah.
Unity.
Yeah, I know it's gonna pour something, so
Yes.
that's, I was gonna say, if we could talk. Now, propane is less and heating oil is less, because I know last year we were topping stuff off because the price difference was significant, but I think this would probably better off waiting. It's
Prices and all
about
that.
less.
So I'll make a motion, I'll go ahead and make a motion on the diesel. And so it's ready to go.
Okay,
Yes.
Yes.
yes, yes.
Yes.
All in favor?
Yes.
Yes, 5 yeses.
Oh, rock and roll.
Okay. I'm going to open the question of 4th of July holiday and our meeting, which is scheduled for the 4th of July. So,
All right, I make a motion that we set the July select board meeting date of Wednesday, July 5th.
Oh. Oh, that was.
I'm away.
Yeah, we might be better off shifting the week.
We're going to the Alleghenies.
Mm.
Never been
Because we
there.
used to just do it.
Hope you come back.
All right.
I'm probably not even gonna be here either,
So
so.
we'll be here.
so how's the 11th?
I would think on that month, we just shift from the 11th and the 25th.
Are you out of town on the 11th?
No, I don't think so.
I don't have plans. I don't have plans.
I think before that.
I expect to be around, yeah,
Truck training.
but Dan won't be here. So,
You won't be here on the 11th?
Yeah, I'll be here on the
Oh,
11th.
on the 11th, okay.
no, he'll be here on the 11th, he won't be here on the 5th.
Right, I heard that. So the 11th,
Okay, so I'll change my motion.
thank you.
Make it July 11th.
Second that emotion.
Yeah. So that's good. And so, Lorna, do you think they should be back for the 11th?
I'll be back. It will be getting a board packet out to you because I tried to have that to you no later than Friday, so that would be the 7th.
You think the office staff who usually do them can handle that? You gave them the information.
Yeah, and I may be back. I may be back and it will depend on what we have going for that meeting, right?
Yeah.
It might be something super light.
Mhm.
Yeah, as long as we know ahead of time, we can work around anything,
Okay.
right? Make it
Okay,
work.
so we have a motion to move the July 4th
We
meeting.
did,
Well,
yeah.
can we combine it and move the 18th to the 25th, so we don't have 2 weeks in a row? We might as well keep them 2 weeks apart.
Is that more confusing to have the month?
How do we
like
do it
two
going to
different
August?
dates?
It's going to eventually be 2 weeks in a
Right.
row.
Well, August has 5 Tuesdays.
About from the
This is
25th.
July.
Yeah, that's fine, that's fine. We can keep.
I'm just asking.
It's two,
That's
but
fine.
the 11th, and the 18th,
The 11th and the 18th. I think that's clean
That's fine.
for,
yeah,
for the public.
easier for the public, yeah.
Okay, all in favor?
I am.
Yes.
No?
3, 4,
Yes.
5.
Okay, 5 in favor of moving the July 4th meeting to the 11th.
Okay.
Okay. Other business? Yes.
Probably be, we're gonna hold the meeting. Late or late afternoon. I'll put it here somewhere. It's just that last year we signed a letter, the town manager signed a letter in support of, the lakes applying for grant funds to help with soil erosion. And he's already talked with Jason about a couple of roads and getting those taken care of in 2024. Signing a letter of support doesn't obligate the town to anything. It's just a letter that simply says, yes, this is a great idea, we support, because this helps our roads in soil erosion. So I just wanted to let you all know that he had reached out to me and we signed a letter in the past, so I was going to sign a letter of support. He sent me a template that I could put on letterhead, and if everybody was agreeable. Yeah, if everybody was agreeable, I was just gonna go ahead and do that.
Yeah,
Sure.
okay.
That's all.
And I have one quick thing. Anthony had sent a letter to the select board. Handwritten letter saying, dear select board, many thanks for your support of Seven Lakes. Proposed erosion control at Center for All Seasons, North Valley Community Center, Long Pond Beach, Hayden Park, and Peninsula Park. Those ARPA funds will help. Anyway. Keep dirt, anyway. You can read it.
else to read his handwriting. My mom was a handwriting. Stretched out.
Which parts of the park? And harmful phosphorus out of the lakes demonstrate that the town.
Talk louder so everybody can hear.
And that the town walks its talk about protecting the lakes. Hopefully convince other towns to make similar investments. We are
Proud, both proud.
both proud and thankful to be able to participate with you.
Teamwork.
Thank you. Very nice.
And Lynn Matson, this is on, there are note cards and the
yeah.
artwork is by Lynn Matson. On Blueberry Hill or Vienna Mountain.
By in a mountain.
Okay, I move we open the item of warrants.
Second,
And first warrant, number 47. Nice, yeah.
It is.
Yeah. The first warrant for tonight, number 47, in the amount of $5,105.56. And would be approved that.
Second,
All in favor?
Yes.
None? Carol?
yes.
Barbara? Yes, 5 yeses. Move to accept payroll warrant 48 in the amount of $22,119.38 with an asterisk. Because it includes end of month benefits, so that it's a higher amount than normal. Is that why there's the asterisk?
Yes.
Okay,
Oh, second,
any discussion? All in favor? Yeah,
Yes,
Carol?
yes.
Melanie? Yes. Peter?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. And Barbara, yes, 5 in favor. AP warrant number 49, I move that we approve AP warrant number 49 in the amount of $925,000. $925,701.
Second,
It's after 9 o'clock, so I'm having trouble with my numbers. Any questions on the AP warrant?
49, that's the, okay, so now it's open for discussion. Right?
Open for discussion, yes. Moved and seconded.
One question I had was the Center for All Seasons drinking water test. How did those come back? We've got 2 of them on here.
Yeah, we don't have the results yet. I asked Corey about that today, to see if he had heard anything yet, but he has not.
I'm curious, who's doing the analysis? Is it a Heedle or is it a private lab like Northeast Lab?
I'm not sure who it gets sent to. Bruce, do you know where that goes to? It goes to this,
local state.
it goes to the state, doesn't it?
It says Hatch Company.
Because
HACH.
it's, they're the ones who came about the violation.
So do
we
we
know?
pay them for the drinking water test?
Yeah, it goes to VHS, I believe.
Right,
Yeah, the Heedle Lab.
there you go.
Got you. Okay, thank you.
All right.
Thank you, Bruce.
No problem.
Hey, Dan?
Old hardware, cemetery grub control. We just heard from Phil that they're having trouble with grubs, and he said somebody
Yeah.
licensed has to put down stuff. So how did we spend $1,440 on grub control stuff if we can't put it down?
I think that probably Corey is.
I
Going
thought you had to be
That's what Phil was trying to say, is that it has to be something.
licensed or
It has to
something.
be licensed because it's in the cemetery.
Just
is he
curious.
licensed through his, other job? Through,
Corey?
yeah,
Well, he used to work for a pest company, but I
Yeah.
don't
So
think, I
he-
don't think your license is.
He may be,
Probably.
because he did work for the pest company.
I mean, I can't imagine they would have bought it if they didn't have.
Right.
Well, that's why I was confused with what Phil said.
Okay,
Bruce,
who's,
I
is that
think
Bruce?
you're good. I think, Lorna, he's gonna come in and talk to you tomorrow on that, about this. I think he's gonna try to cancel that. Because we just found out today that you had to be licensed.
Oh,
We had no idea.
so this
The
is.
town's been doing this for years and
And need to be licensed, but didn't know that.
yeah,
Okay, Bruce.
So we're
That's
gonna,
good
so we're gonna try to
information.
take this $1,400 stuff back to Obashan?
it hasn't been picked up yet.
Okay.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
So then what we would see is if we approve this warrant, we would approve this warrant. And then on the next one, we would have. that
refund.
refunded.
yeah.
1440. Would be refunded? Or would
You
the
wouldn't-
payment, would the payment
You
just be
wouldn't
withheld?
see that on a warrant. You wouldn't see a refund on a warrant.
Right, so should we approve the amount minus 14?
I would.
Approve it minus the 1440.
That's what I would.
Yeah. Okay,
What was that a minute?
1440, $1,440.
Or you can say hold the check or, you know.
Oh, yeah, hold the check. Hold the check.
If you've got a check number.
Beat me to it. Thank you.
Oh, hang on. What do you got?
And nothing else. 1,400, what?
1440.
Even? Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it is. And it's check number 238445.
Okay.
924-261.
That's what I've got.
924
Two six.
261.
So 900
261, 924 261, yes.
The single came out.
Need to amend the motion.
Yeah, we need to amend the amount from 925.
Okay. All in, I move that we amend the amount of the warrant from 2924 to 9,000. I'm talking about, it's too late. 924-261. Everyone in favor of the, second the amendment?
Yes.
Okay, all in
Yes.
favor of the amendment, Dan?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
Yes,
Yes,
Melanie?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So now we approve
The
the
amendment.
warrant as amended.
Warrant as amended.
Okay, I move that we approve the warrant as amended.
Second.
All in favor?
yes.
Dan?
1, 2. Yeah.
Peter, Melanie, Carol, Dan, yes, okay, 5 yeses. Sorry. My brain shut down at 9 o'clock. All right. I move that we approve warrant number 50 in the amount of $8,760.96 for the B&B. Any discussion? All in favor, Peter?
Yes.
Melanie? Yes. Carol?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes.
Barbara? Yes, 5 yeses. And the last one, payroll, I move that we approve payroll warrant 51 in the amount of $19,886.94.
I second that.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Yes.
Dan? Carol?
Yes.
Melanie?
Yes.
Peter?
Yes.
Barbara? Yes. Okay. All right. The manager's report?
I provided that to you in your board packet. Was there anything you had a question on as you looked over that? I did like that we are beginning to hear a little bit about PSAP services. It looks like Waterville may be able to help us.
Yeah.
A little bit more, we're a little bit more expensive, we're a little over, but we likely can absorb that, the bottom line, the bucket of money. We can likely absorb it. It's only $600.
I have a question about the Brown Tail Moth funding
Yes,
with the deadline coming up on May 16th.
yes, so
What's involved in the applications? Is it possible for us to even get anything from this?
I started working on it today. It doesn't look too bad. And what I did, I've spoken with Corey a couple of times, sent the information over to Dan McGlashy as well. When I spoke with Corey this morning, we thought maybe we should try to get funding for Center for All Seasons and Village Green. Because when we were out there, we could see all those nests, and I know they're a problem at Center for All Seasons.
What about the swimming area? If we're gonna do it, we should do all of the town properties. Hayden Beach, a lot of times people put kayaks and stuff in over there. We're swimming at the other one, and that's fully.
They only have, I think they only have 150, is it 150,000? Does that sound right, that they have available?
I don't know. Is this
We should
statewide?
put it in quick and ask for as much as we can get.
It's not
Yeah,
much.
that's what I'm saying, if we say all of the town beaches and properties, if they say.
We have to be specific.
But
We
what
have to-
what kind of treatment is it? Is it for spray, for cutting, for the spikes? We put the spikes in, my husband. And put the spikes with the insecticide that you drill holes and you put them in actually.
You
in the
have to
tree.
tell them what you're going to do, and it could be a combination of all of the treatments. With one another. They also like to see you working with other entities within the community for mitigation, education. It's really kind of an odd thing, and they want mapping, they want to know what you're going to use, they want to see the cost.
In 2 weeks.
They want to know names of everybody involved.
Wonder if you could get YCC
So Nick, Dan McGlashing will be back next week. So I sent an email out to Corey and Dan this morning and said, we need to get together next week, very early in the week. Let's sit down, let's put a plan together. I asked them to get a hold of the mosquito bandito guy.
Yeah.
And have him attend so that he could at least give us some idea of cost. So that we could at least get something put together and submitted.
Yeah, okay.
So for instance, the trees that we saw that are across the village green by Hello Good Pie. Would we include those? Can we include those?
But right, this is only for municipalities.
Because the problem is, those trees are going to affect the village green as
If
much
there
as
were
anything.
a nonprofit organization that wanted to partner, I think you could probably do that, but I don't know that these funds pick up that piece. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
One of the other properties you probably ought to think about including is the cemetery and the town office, considering them two properties abut each other, and there's a tremendous amount of oak trees out there too.
Good point.
Yeah.
So I am in hopes that we could get something put together and submitted.
Okay, great, great.
Good.
I would say put something together. Submit what you think you can do. And then if we get some money, then maybe we can come back and actually look at maybe some ARPA funds to try to get some of this, to kill some of these other areas.
Yeah,
It helps.
Yeah.
good idea.
Good idea. I know that the treatment that we use, the spikes, it has to be done when the tree is just beginning to bud.
But
And so it's gonna be too late to do that
It's like
treatment.
right now.
Yeah, it's now,
Their
it's now.
funding's not, they aren't going to award anything, make decisions, I don't believe until June.
Okay, so
So,
that would rule out that treatment.
I mean,
at least for this year.
the little buggers are already gonna be hatched and
Right.
doing the thing, right?
Right, dropping their hairs all over town.
okay.
Okay.
And then the only reason I thought of Center for All Seasons and Village Green is because you've got a lot of,
People and kids.
children,
Yeah.
young people, and
Well,
so.
we had identified
Try to
Dan
protect.
last year. I'm pretty sure that Dan McGlashing last year, when I sent over mosquito banditos, that they did identify the trees. I think he's already got them mapped.
Okay,
So that
That's
might not
helpful.
be as hard.
good, that's good.
I've got a question on the last thing, on that first page, so she started talking to the town staff about the 4-day weeks. What are you envisioning if you go to 4-day weeks? What are you envisioning for hours?
Oakland just went to, I believe, 7 to 5. A 7 to 5 schedule, so when people are going to work, they would stop in. It's actually a slower time than at night.
Well, that's what I'm wondering, if we can
Right.
adjust some of these schedules, so maybe we don't necessarily have to have the Thursday night, if we have times available that people can do one or the other.
I know Ella said that, that people are really flocking to these hours, they like them.
And would you be closed one day a week?
I think. Okay, I wouldn't recommend that, I'd recommend staggered schedule.
Well, but you run into covering for vacations. If you read what they went through,
I mean, with a small office staff.
It would be hard, because Oakland went through that and.
yes, they
And,
did.
and Ella said they tried doing everybody
5 days
working
a week.
4 days, but having 5 days open. And then when it came to summertime and vacation, it was hard to get the
Or
coverage.
someone's out sick, I don't know how you do that.
I mean,
This-
like
this request-
last week, we were open 45.5 hours.
Because, or is it just,
Because there was
We're
one
normally
Saturday
open
because Saturday.
42.5,
oh, because
and
of
then
Saturday.
3 hours on
Yeah.
Saturday.
Which
Yeah.
is fine. That's why we do the Saturday hours are for people who don't live here year round
Right.
and who need to register their boats when they come in.
I think they only had 2 people
Okay.
in those 3 hours.
But I think this
Thursday night,
this
there were 2
came
people,
from-
That's 4 people we serve.
This request came from the staff.
It did come from.
This didn't,
This didn't come from me.
because I was there checking my mailbox one day and they brought it up to, they were discussing it and wanted to make sure that I knew that they were.
That's one of
talking about
those,
it.
but that's one of those preferred employer that we were discussing.
Yeah,
Right,
It's being a little flexible so that you retain employees, you get new employees in when you need to fill positions younger,
Mhm.
when it's that time.
Mhm. Now, with, just if they want to go, if the staff wants to go to a 4-day work week, what would be the day off? Would it be Monday? When we already have 11
Or
holidays?
Friday. Yeah, Mondays are when most of the holidays are.
Yeah,
I think it's something we gotta bring before we can.
no, I'm not, no. Yeah,
It's gonna take, it's gonna take some
We'll
time.
start.
Yeah.
'Cause I mean, I used to work for companies for 10-hour days, for 10-hour days.
Well, our fire
But-
department works 10-hour days
But
too.
what happened was 2 people worked Monday through Thursday, the other 2 people worked Tuesday through Friday.
mhm.
which is fine till you have vacations or someone sick.
Yeah.
That's our challenge, right?
Okay, so we'll consider to look into
Muddle
this.
it along.
And anything else in the report that you want to bring up?
I just wanted to let you know, I'm sure you saw it already, that I included the year-to-date financial figures.
Yes.
So that was broken down to show you how much has been expended by each department, and then the trio report accompanies. it.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
So Laura, thank you for doing that. This answers my way of thinking. You know, I want to know like the burn rate for these things. And this helps provide an answer to that
Yeah.
question. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, so we'll have a brief executive session.
So make a motion that we exit the select board meeting at 9:26.
And second that,
All in favor?
Yes.
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 Okay, exit at 9:26. We ready? Okay, wait, Melanie.
Session at 9:41.
9:41 exit.
Please have Dan.
Seconded.
Oh,
Seconded by
Dan
Dan.
Melanie and Peter.
No, Dan seconded.
Move on.
Oh, yeah,
Dan, send along.
Yes.
okay.
You know what that is?
Yes. All in favor?
I make a motion that we re-enter the select board meeting at 9:41 as well.
Second.
All in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
I make a motion we adjourn.
Second.
And there was no decision from the executive committee.
No decision from the,
Executive session, there was no decision.
no motions. no
Motions, no decisions.
Second.
Okay.
Oh, this is adjourned.
Adjourning. All in favor?
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
thank you. Thank you.
Did you get that right? Yes.
Okay.
So
And then adjourn is 9:30.